3, 2, 1.
Let the games begin.
Hey, everybody. Hey, welcome to Movies America. Spoiler warning. Welcome to my movie maniacs. Yes. And my fellow freedom-fueled film fanatics. I hope you're ready for a night, an entertaining evening. Okay, but I can't promise it's going to be as entertaining as last night's Donald Trump town hall where he wiped the floor with Caitlin Collins and all. I can't promise that kind of entertainment, but I am hanging out here with my dog, Vagina. Yes, over here. And you know what? We're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and we are going to get all spoilery, all right? So if you haven't seen the movie, you've been warned, okay? So that alarm bell should be going off in your head if you haven't seen it and you don't want it to be spoiled, okay? But, yeah, we are going to get this going on. We're going to talk Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and when I say we, it's not just going to be me. It's going to be these guys.
What's up?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, good. How about you guys?
Doing all right. I see you're a little frozen up.
Yeah, I thought that was maybe my screen, but apparently it's all of us.
Yeah, I have it on Rumble too, and it looks a little frozen up. But I hate to come in and just be like, "Hey, why is your face frozen?"
You guys, I'm frozen then?
Yes, you are frozen. I mean, it's a good pause screen. You look excited.
Your face.
Yeah. I make an excited face like you guys can see because I'm frozen. I'm going to remove myself here and maybe that'll make a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. Cool. Hi, how you guys doing? Let's move you up here.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yeah. Is that better? Am I unfrozen or frozen caveman lawyer still?
You're gray. You are ashy, sir. You need some lotion.
Yeah, Ashy Larry. Let's go play some dice. Yeah. Well, hopefully I feel better. Right? I don't know. See, I don't know what to do about ashy. I know what to do about frozen, but I don't know about ashy. So
yeah, maybe if you want to jump out
and
then jump back in, like jump out of the studio and come back in, we can hold it down for you. So hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Whiskey Capitalist. This is
his screen's working on like the backstage. It's working now, I think.
But is he moving? Oh yeah. Okay, I see him. He's moving. There we go.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Move everybody back around. There you
go. There we go.
Yeah, whip around, do-si-do. Yeehaw! All right.
Do you have the Fetterman internet over there too now, or?
Well, you know what? Right while the intro or the countdown was playing, I realized I didn't have my Ethernet cable hooked into my back of my iMac, and so I tried to be all slick, like, "Oh man, I'm gonna go grab the Ethernet cable and plug it in while the countdown's going on." But it sounds like that might have fucked with some shit. I don't know. So I'm gonna have the exact opposite. So, or maybe it takes like a little bit to kick in, or I need to fill up more internet fluid or something.
Yeah. Because you just throw some Bud Light in there. Yeah. Because you are you're a little pixely, but you're moving, which is good.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that, but yeah, well, I guess we'll make the best of it here. But if it gets too bad, go ahead and let me know.
Yeah.
I'm sure
well, I'm stoked to sit here and talk about some Guardians. Sean, you said you watched it, so we're all good on it.
Excellent. Yeah, we're sitting pretty right there. So yeah, because I don't want to ruin it for everybody. And so I'd say we're in the expert class of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So I'm sure we all have our takes. But yeah, we'll get into it right after this intro. So let's do it.
Cool.
In a world where the number of movies available is great, but many are so bad, you'll learn a new definition of hate. One man sifts and reviews through the movie sludge. One man will be the movie cop, jury, and judge. He goes by many names, but you know him by Movies Merica.
Yeah, are you ready to rock?
Yes.
All right. Yes. Yeah. Hey, well, first things first, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you, Ian and Sean, for joining me here for this episode. So you honor me. Okay. So it's like a strength and honor tonight, so with my compadres. And I thought this would be the perfect movie for you guys to join me here on. I didn't want to invite you on for like some Jane Fonda romantic comedy that would be a little gay, you know. So, or hey, let's check out that Ticket to Paradise, Julia Roberts, George Clooney movie. Hey, would you guys like to join me for my episode? We can really talk about how special I was. Okay, homo.
Yeah, and you know, it's a like a team up movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Yep, they're getting together. Yep, Guardians of the Galaxy to kick some ass and save the galaxy. But yeah, and so in case anybody doesn't know who these guys are, right? These guys are world famous. They're just like always being brought by popular demand, if I can get that out there. So these guys, they host 2 times a week the Whiskey Capitalist podcast, as I'm sure you've heard of. I mean, you know, if you've got a pulse, you've heard of them, right? And it's always every Monday night, every Wednesday night at 8 Eastern.
Yes.
Eastern. Okay, gotcha. So
specific.
What time specific?
5
Pacific. There you go. So, I can't do math.
We talk over town halls, and people don't like us when we do.
There's only a couple people that got really upset about it. Besides that, there were basically everybody was appreciative of what we were doing, and then we even got compliments at the end, like "Thank you guys for not talking so much."
Well, I went back and I watched Crowder and I watched Tim Pool like a little bit because I wanted to see the cat named Vagina and she called her husband an ape. I wanted to see the reactions of that. Crowder was talking over that part, and I was like, dude, that is probably the funniest fucking part of the whole town hall, and you were talking over it. Like, you could have, if you were gonna make jokes about it, at least let it be that one.
Right.
And then like Tim Pool, they didn't even really respond to it. I'm like, dude, ours was way more fun. And Tim Pool, and they had like 5 people on talking all over it. I was sitting there like, dude, ours is way better.
Right, yeah. We have too many guests. It's like, like 3 to 4 people. Okay, you can kind of space it out a little bit. Like, everyone knows when to jump in. But, like, when you have, like, 5+ people on there, like, that's almost impossible.
Yeah. It's a delicate dance right there. And I think Tim Pool, he was talking over the part where Caitlin was saying, well, you were indicted or you were found liable for sexual assault or something like that, and then Donald Trump like owns her. He's like, "Oh yeah, but my poll numbers went up." Yeah, I think Tim Pool's talking over that, because I was like, "Shut up, Tim! Like you guys are gonna, you guys, this is gonna be a big cheer line right there. You guys are gonna be stoked, And then they were like yapping all over it. So
I thought it was great. I thought he handled himself pretty well.
Yeah, he nailed it. But then on top of that, like the reason we were probably more quiet than the other streams is because we were paying attention. We had to listen for the drinking game, which made you listen more.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
I was hammered after the stream.
You got to do that like intense listening, like that's got to be tough on the old brain cells. Right? I mean, it's like you're trying to conduct a town hall, watch through or whatever, and trying to listen to what they're saying. And then they Caitlin kept on interrupting him, but Trump's got that I don't know if he was born with it naturally or just because he's been doing it for so many plus years, but he's got that conversational timing that's just perfect. He can even pause.
Excuse me.
Right. Yeah. Because there's so many times where she was talking and she interrupted him, and then she was talking, and then he just shut up. And I thought, oh man, now she's going to start owning him. And then right at that perfect time, he would start talking. And I'm like, that's a gift from God. Because I always consider I have the worst conversational timing. And I'm always like, yeah. I was like, hey, so what'd you say?
The sound bit that everyone's talking about, of course, is the one where he calls her a nasty lady. He's like, can I answer? Okay, I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna say something. And she says, okay, fine, it's an easy answer. And then he goes, you're a really nasty lady.
You're a nasty person. Do you see how she is? This is how she is.
And the crowd just loved it. They ate it all up.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And there's so many people that are on Twitter right now saying like, I can't believe they just filled the whole space with Republican voters and all like his base, and they're like, I'm like, did you listen at the beginning? Like it's all like undecided Republican voters. Like, that's the whole point of the
and independents.
Yeah,
independents in there too. So yeah, it wasn't just it just wasn't Trump's circle of guys in MAGA hats, and MAGA or MAGA decals and their big Bubba trucks and all that stuff. Like, yeah, that would be unfair. That would actually be hilarious, though. If they had that. It's like every single time he says one syllable, it was like, woohoo, yeah, MAGA, you get him. You know, like that would have been hilarious, you know.
Lock her up.
Yeah, and it'd play like some Lee Greenwood, you know, after everything.
Well, I mean, I do commend, and I am glad that CNN did it, because I wasn't expecting him to be allowed on any more liberal like media, unless it's, you know, debates, you know, whatever, obviously. But the only one that lost out on that was Caitlin, you know,
Caitlin Collins.
I was trying to come up with an insult, but I can't.
Caitlin Collins. Was that too extreme? Sorry.
Someone got mad at us for saying a tampon comment.
Yeah, this is such immature comments. I'm out of here. Bye. Like,
Who did that?
No, someone in the chat was like, "This is an inappropriate comment. I can't believe you guys would even say something about a tampon." And I'm like, "You need to change your tampon."
This is guy talk. This is what happens in the guys' locker rooms and whatnot. We're just like, we're talking shit. You know, it's the whole grab him by the pussy thing, except now it's like out in the world. You know, like it's just, you know, the PG version. Go change your tampon.
It's just locker room talk. It just happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, where did you see that it was the NPR capitalist podcast? You know,
the clip from was it the Gran Torino? This is how guys talk to one another. When he's
exactly. But I could talk about that town hall all night long. But you know, I think the American people and people worldwide surely are watching this. And they want us to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and whatnot. But before
a little more PG.
Well, that's a great thing about this. Like, you know, it's you know, we can just get it raunchy and nasty. Well, you know, within a point, I guess if we start talking about election results of the 2020, I think they're probably fine with us getting raunchy. We just can't say, hey, you know about those election results up in Wisconsin? Like,
there is the freest and fairest of ever.
Oh yeah, freest and fairest election in the universe ever. Yes.
All right.
But before we get too far in here, I just want to let everybody know here, knock this out, about our tdpn.locals.com. That is the website where myself and these two guys here, these legends, you know, they have their content out there. Now, I don't have so much content. I've been slacking, I will admit. Okay, I've been slacking in the content out there. But I do have the Movies Merica Mad Libs out there, and so I want everybody
y'all need to get involved in that shit.
Yeah, everybody get it. Like, don't be shy. Don't be shy. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to bite you. You just got to go out to like tdpn.locals.com and go to the Movies Merica Mad Libs. And I promise you, it's safe. It's safe and it's bacteria free. And you can get out there and you can add your script lines in there. Okay, so you know, hey, I'm just gonna, you know, let me just get out there. So I'll share my screen and we'll take a looky look here. So all right, let's just see if anybody's added anything. Okay. Wait, you know, probably got to add it to the stream. That would help. Yeah, there we go. All right. So yeah, here's what I'm talking about, everybody. Movies Merica Mad Libs out here on our awesome tdpn.locals.com website. And so as you can see right here, if we hit the read more, that would probably help. So I'm writing a script. Of course, every script's got a scene one, fade in. Here's the location where it's at. And we have our three characters, or Holster McKenzie, Patsy Penicillin, and Nigel Nightworm. Okay. So the whole point of this is that I want you guys to go out there and I want you to help finish the script. Okay. Right here. This is a interactive exercise. Okay. So it's not just us doing it for ourselves, right? You can get out there and you can write the further lines here or in the next lines. Cause obviously here's the lines that I've written that start out the whole thing. Okay. But then down here, you guys can add your lines, one for each character, please. So Holster, Patsy, and Nigel, okay? And then what's going to happen here, this is probably the selling point, okay? Shawn, Ian, and I, we have to read the script, and we have to play the characters. So one of us is going to be Patsy Penicillin, okay? And she's a hairdresser / whore. So I personally, speaking for myself, I'm going to try to sound as slutty as possible. And, you know, and a lot of people are probably like, well, it's going to come naturally for you, you big slut.
Well, I mean, my dad and my mom were both hairstylists, and I was a man whore for a little bit. So
I've slept with lots of hairstylists.
I've written a lot of scripts while sleeping with hairstylists. Okay, so yes, it all works out. But yeah, you guys can all get in here and add your lines right down here, and we have to read your lines so you can get as depraved and nasty and all that stuff. And I know Ian and Sean looking at me like, "Shut the hell up, man!" No, they can't. Okay,
Yes.
and we got to read it. We got to read that stuff, and then we're going to read that live here on Movies America Spoiler Warning on a future episode, and you guys could watch and laugh your ass off like, ha, 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 you guys suck at acting. Speaking for myself, I suck at acting. Okay, so, but yeah, that's what
I like to think I'm funny, but I don't know about reading script lines. I don't know.
Right, exactly. Yeah, reading is fundamental. There you see, I can't even talk right. So, so I know I'm going to suck reading the script. I can write them, I just can't read them, But
Yes.
But that is tdpn.locals.com. And yeah, you just go out there, put in promo code TDPN, and you get 1 month free membership out there, and you get your hands on all our great content. All right. So it's not just Movies America Mad Libs. Sean and Ian got their great content about, making some fantastic cocktails and the hot button issues of the day, news, music, all that stuff right there. And you're not going to get it the way that you see it out there anywhere else. Okay. Nowhere else whatsoever.
Sean has definitely been way more on top of the extra content. Jen and I need to do that because, Jen is involved just every other Saturday.
Yeah.
My wife, but with the three of us, we are definitely the ones that are way more involved.
Yeah.
For the most part.
But
She just sprains ankles.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, you know what? You basically do what you can. You do what you can right there. So, and then we just talk about you behind your back, about you slipping. Yep, there you go. Yep. But yeah, no, yeah, I know that I've been slacking lately here. So, but my excuse here, and we'll see if you guys buy this. We'll see if America and the world buys this. I just don't want to bury my Movies America Mad Libs. I know that you guys are going to add content, and it's going to like scroll down, and hey, you guys add however much you want. I just don't want to add to it. So is that believable? Are you guys buying that?
It's pinned.
Yeah. The Movies America thing is pinned.
God, you guys are ruining my excuse.
Hey, no excuses here.
Yeah. Yeah. You either get the job done or you don't. Okay. All right. So yeah, no. So yeah, go ahead and check that out. Also, yeah, Professor Savage Dad in the live chat there at Rumble. Thanks for posting, because that reminds me to encourage everybody to get out in the live chat and Rumble and YouTube. And any of you put a comment there out in YouTube, we can put it up on the screen. Yeah. Provided it's not anything incriminating. If you are trying to let the mob know where I've been relocated to as part of the witness protection program or something like that, I'm not putting that up there. Okay. So, yeah, we're going to read off your live chats. So, speaking of which, we got Professor Savage Dad in the live chat from Rumble. Rumble is slow as fuck today. Still loading. Here we go. Okay. Hopefully that's better for you there, Professor Savage Dad.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Get in there. Professor Savage Dad is truly savage. He's always there for us. Okay. All right.
He's awesome.
He is. He's a man. He's a man. Or is it, what is it? Or lewd? Here we go. Or lewd. I don't know. Maybe is that lube?
He might be talking about the Mad Libs thing.
Yes.
Okay.
He's great at spelling.
Mm-hmm.
He's really good at the spelling and the typing thing. It's good.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's like an octopus tentacle, like hitting the kind of the keyboard, whatever comes out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So hey, gentlemen, should we get into Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? I mean, I guess that's what we titled it. Okay, so you guys are probably like, come on, Van, come on. So. Or we could just talk about Rumble.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I just wanted to first off get your guys' take, and then obviously I'll give my take, what you guys thought of it and whatnot. I know that me and Ian, we see totally eye to eye, eye on this movie, totally. So we're like one big brain in our opinion here. So, but
let's let Sean go first, because I'm a fucking nerd, and I'm going to have a little bit longer probably of a reasoning of why I was okay with it.
And Sean, take all the time you want.
Yes.
Well, thank you. The floor is mine.
Yes, exactly.
And I will yield mine over to Van then afterwards.
The gentleman from the great state of Pennsylvania has the floor. Please proceed, sir.
Well, what I'll say is that I liked the first two movies. Obviously, the soundtrack was always been great in those movies, and I like the comedy relief and like Chris Pratt. Like I don't know, it's funny, but I know it's still kind of like superhero esque. I know nothing about the comic or anything like that, so like for me, it was kind of like just diving into this for whatever the movies were. I know some of you guys I know like Ian's one of those guys where he'll take what's like in the comics and then like compare it to the movie and things like that. And like that's not who I am because I don't really know the comics. So I take things at face value when it comes to the movies, and they were pretty entertaining. When it came to this third one, I'm kind of in between the two of your opinions because I've seen like the arguments that go on between you two where like Van, you're not a huge fan, Ian, you're a much bigger fan of this movie. For me, there was like parts that I enjoyed and parts I didn't care for, and I think the parts I didn't care for were kind of significant in like the movie itself. Like there was a lot of I guess like feelings and a lot of like trying to self-discovery and a lot of just kind of like me type things happening in the movie, which I felt like this is all kind of gay. Like there was a lot of things where it's like I felt like why are we focusing on that? They're the Guardians of the Galaxy. They should be out like solving mysteries and like going and like fighting crime and stuff like that across the galaxy. But instead what we were seeing was a lot of like, and now I'm not taking anything away from like the backstory of like Rocket. I thought that was still interesting because like, there's always been that kind of like hazy kind of like idea of like, well, what happened to him? He's kind of like a real angry little raccoon. But
I'm taking notes for my response.
Yeah. No, I kind of, I'm just talking at this point.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So, the things I didn't really care for a lot, it was just like, it's just like obviously the end of the movie didn't do anything for me, which I'm gonna save that for Van to kind of like go through. And I also that was a big part of what I didn't like. I didn't like the ending of the movie, and I didn't like all of it felt like it was always about like with Star-Lord's whole like kind of like self-discovery again, and then like all of them kind of like left and did their own thing for a minute. I was like, this is kind of like dumb. I don't know, like I didn't like that, but the action scenes were great. Loved that. Like I don't like being up here. The action scenes were great. Dug that, and I dug the backstory for Rocket. I just felt that like the bad guy kind of sucked. Did I disappear? Like,
No. I was trying to fuck with you and make you full screen, but it didn't work.
It's like, I felt like the bad guy kind of sucked. Like that was like, it was kind of disappointing to me. I just didn't really feel that menacing or that bad. There was no real big explanation for like why he was the way he was, besides like I was trying to make everything better or something like that. It's like, but why the fuck did you think you all of a sudden were better by like taking like your face and attaching it to like weird like apparatuses and like making yourself basically like this like biomech robot thing? I don't know. To me, there was a lot of weird shit, but it's also a galaxy far, far away. And then of course, then Chris Pratt's gonna go back to Earth and whatnot too. I'm like, this is stupid. Like, go be Star-Lord. It's way cooler to be Star-Lord than to be Chris Pratt back on Earth.
Oh my god. Ian, are you how are you holding up, man?
Do you want me to go, or do you want to go?
Yeah, no, go ahead, please.
Might as well, yeah. Because I mean, like my whole take was, I'm definitely in between you two when it comes to the opinion. I'm not being a fence sitter by any means. It's an honest opinion where I enjoyed like parts of the movie, but like there was good chunks that I thought were kind of lame.
Yeah, Ian, you go so that way I can go. Ian, you ignorant slut.
Okay. Okay. So, first thing, the emotions. That's what a movie is. A movie is supposed to have emotions. It's supposed to bring you, and it was the arc of the whole story. So, like if you look at Star-Lord from, and I'm gonna speak on this. I'm gonna speak from the movies. Like Professor Savage Dad and I had a fucking hour-long hour-and-a-half long conversation about the comics and the movies and like all that stuff. We did that in the background, and I look at the MCU. Yes, obviously the source material is from the comics, but I look at the movies and the MCU as its own separate thing for a couple of reasons. One, because when the MCU started, they didn't have the rights from Fox to X-Men and Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and all these things, so they had to kind of have their story morphed around those speed bumps, I guess you'd say. So I look at it that way. So I'm going to pretty much be referencing only the MCU, but and as you can tell by just that first answer, I'm kind of a nerd. So just a little bit. But I think that the arc of the storyline for Star-Lord, I thought that, like, so he doesn't know who he is in the first one, and then he finds out that his dad is Ego, which is a planet. So he, all this, and then there's that arc from that story, and then there's the whole thing with Endgame, where yes, Professor Savage Dad, Ian and I are both pretty gay on this one. Yes, I completely will agree. But then if you go to Infinity War and Endgame and all that, where Gamora, they finally fell in love in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And I love the pause screen that movies has right now. It is fucking great. It looks like you're like sniffing in your own farts right now. It is so good. And Professor Savage Dad is totally not gonna meme you on that. But yeah, and then so if you look at that whole storyline of how he was they fell in love, he finally got her to fall in love with him, and then she dies, and then she comes back with like a different version. Like that's like a whole mind fuck. And then he obviously he's going to feel like that would suck. Like if you look at that, like if that, obviously these are ridiculous things, like no one's getting thrown off a magical mountain and dying, and then someone from the past, your girlfriend's coming, from the past coming back. But it is kind of a crazy situation.
I can hear you.
What's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think movies is just going through some.
Lose you.
I think movies is just going through some technical difficulties, but I'll try and keep going. So what I think is that with the where was I? Oh yeah. So with that whole thing, it's obviously going to put him in a different mindset, and he's drunk throughout the first third of the movie. Like he's a couple, because he's going through all these emotions, and especially because whenever he sees Gamora, because she's in his life again, but it's a different version. So he has these conflicting emotions. Like that still was my girlfriend, but she's kind of crazy. But what's up?
Color me retarded. Could you explain that? Like why she's in there? Is that from like the whole multiverse thing or whatever?
Yeah. So basically what happened is in Endgame, because Infinity War is when it wasn't Infinity War. Thanos threw Gamora off of the mountain,
right?
Yeah, to get the Soul Stone. So the Gamora that Star-Lord fell in love with, that was in Guardians 1 and 2,
is dead.
Is dead. So, but when the snap happened, the one that the Hulk did, not the one that killed Tony, but the one that the Hulk did when he snapped in Endgame, it brought Gamora back from 2014.
There was another snap?
Oh, no, wait. I'm wrong. Okay, so no, when they were going back trying to find all the stones, and they went back to 2014, like it was basically the same timeline of the original Guardians of the Galaxy. So it was in a multiverse. They went back, and Gamora came with the other version Nebula, and the other version Thanos came back for that last battle. And so that Gamora wasn't the Gamora who had gone through the, like, I'm trying to break away from my dad, and then I fall in love with Star-Lord, and then so it's not that.
Which movie was this in?
Endgame. Yeah, because remember in like parts of Endgame, Thanos and Gamora and Nebula. They were like watching what's going on, and then Thanos was like, "What's going on here? Like, what's good? Oh, they must have killed me." So they're in their spaceship or whatever, and then they have the big battle at the end, and they, the big explosion, and then Gamora comes down, and Peter thinks it's his Gamora, And then she kicks him in the nuts, right? And then he quickly realizes, oh, this isn't my Gamora. This is another Gamora from another multiverse.
Yeah, because the Thanos that was from the original timeline, the one that, you know, in Infinity War, he was killed. Remember, like Thor fucking chopped his head off. So that Thanos is gone. The one that they're fighting at the very end of Endgame is the one from the 2014 version.
Okay.
So all three of them, so Thanos, Gamora, and Nebula, all three of them that are at the end of Endgame are from the 2014 version, and they like get in his ship and they like miniaturize his ship and go into they like do the little time jump through the quantum realm.
Yeah.
So again, nerd. Sorry. But yeah, and then, you know, Nebula kills her own, like the Nebula from our timeline kills the old one because she's kind of, you know, she's fucking crazy, whatever. So there's all this. So I can understand how Quill, like, this is a, you know, how Star-Lord is just like, this is a fucked up situation. Like, you know, like I have these feelings for this person that had feelings for me, and we were in love, but that one's dead, but I still see her, but she's completely different. So like a fucked ass situation. So I can understand why he's like, why he is the way he is. But
it's
then
like you see your ex-wife after like 10 years or something.
Yeah,
you know? You're like,
exactly.
She's a stranger to me.
Yeah, but she's completely different. You know what I mean? But you know, it would be like, yeah, it's your ex-wife, but you had to, get divorced for some, you know, for something that wasn't crazy that you didn't hate her about. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I don't know. So I can understand that part of it. I can also understand the stuff with Rocket, because if you think about the stuff that's going on with Rocket, excuse me, then he throughout all of the movies, he's had this, like, he has this badass like take, or this badass like kind of attitude, because of his backstory, because of the fact that he was, you know, experimented on by the High Evolutionary, which we didn't know that's who it was, like, but he was experimented on. He was turned into this, like, you know, kind of almost animatronic, you know, like he was turned into this, like, this person. So he has the trauma of his backstory. So instead of having him be like emo the whole time, he was just like fucking crazy. You know, like, I think in Guardians 1, when they all kind of get together and they decide they break out of the prison or whatever, and they're all sitting there around, they're, you know, drinking and gambling, and they're racing the little things or whatever. He says him and Drax are drunk, and like he's about to shoot Drax with that big ass gun, and he goes, "I never asked to be made." You know what I mean? So like, that's him drunk.
He called me vermin.
Yeah,
he called me a rodent. Yeah.
Yeah, which is another funny thing. I think it's funny that he always says that he's not a raccoon. I'm not a raccoon. And then at the very end, it says origin. Raccoon. Like, yeah, raccoon. I thought that was great. But I don't know. I think the emotions were played well. Yes, was it a little gay? Yeah, a little bit. But emotions are kind of gay. That's just the way it is, you know? So I mean, I think that was cool. I also like, because Mantis is like you were saying about the ending, how they kind of all like went off and did their own thing.
Yeah, like, that was the part that really kind of like killed it for me, because I'm like, and they have to preface it as well as like, Star-Lord will return, and it's like, because it felt like it was like, all right, we're done making. It felt very much like it's disbanded at that point. Like, no, we're gonna come back, guys. We're not gonna kill the franchise just yet.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but that's the MCU. Like, they're gonna have, like, I mean, all these characters were in Endgame, and they were in Infinity War. They were in Thor 4, or, you know, Love and Thunder or whatever. They made appearances, just like other characters have made appearances in other movies. Like,
they got to leave it open to gender swap Star-Lord. So Chris Rock is inevitably going to be playing Star-Lord in the next movie.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, is Chris Rock a woman? No, I think that. I think that it was just basically because James Gunn isn't going to be directing anymore, and the only movies in the MCU that have had more than 3 that have been more than a trilogy was Thor. That was the only one that got a 4th movie. So I don't see them doing another one. James Gunn is doing DC now, so I don't think he's going to be coming back. And Dave Bautista said he doesn't want to be in the MCU anymore, like, you know, so it's been kind of thing. So I think and Mantis and Star-Lord are basically related, because Mantis was made from Ego. So they're kind of brother and sister, like, you know, half whatever. So
did they ever acknowledge that in the movies?
Well, yeah, because in it says it in Guardians 2 that Ego, because what Ego was doing is he was going to all these planets across the universe and across the multiverse and fucking, you know, and like, you know, having baby trying to see who the best one would be, and Mantis was one of those kids, and he realized, oh, well, she can make people, you know, she's an empath, she can make people feel things and, you know, whatever. So I'm going to have her come along, you know, come with me to help me sleep or to help, you know, whatever.
It was a big part of the Christmas special. That's where, like, that was one of the big subplots is Mantis, like, should I tell him that I'm his sister? And then so anyway.
I actually didn't see that yet. And I you know, no, it's fine. Like but it's been out for long enough. So if it gets, you know, spoiled from it, whatever. But I've also watched a good, like, you know, a couple reactions, like these are the Easter eggs in Guardian, you know, so like there are a couple things that got spoiled for me a little bit, but that's my fault. So, which I do need to go watch. And it is weird because I know that I should have watched it being the nerd level that I'm at, but
it's kind of funny.
Yeah, exactly. And but at the same time, like I think that maybe she's feeling that since Star-Lord's going to go off and go onto Earth, which I'll get to that in a second, is I think she's probably just like, you know, I don't even know who I am. Like, I need to go. She's going through her hoe phase. She's got to go find out who she is.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
So her royal oats.
Yeah, exactly.
But there was one more thing I remember that I was like, this is lame. But like, obviously I'm not talking about the entire movie. This one part was like really lame. It was where I think it was Gamora, Nebula, and like and Drax were like with like the children and like the basement of like the spaceship or something like that, and like all of a sudden like Drax can like talk to the kids going juba 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 juba, and then like the kids they're gonna go and do that. It's like, you can speak their language, you never asked. It was like, oh dude.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I understand that. I understand that, but at the same point, like, Drax is treated as just a
big dummy.
Yeah, as a big dummy, which I'm not saying that he isn't a big dummy, but at the same time, he's just treated like that. Like, he's just like, you know, the brute force. But if you look at Drax's backstory, even from Guardians 1, his wife and daughter were killed by Ronan. I forget, the Ronan the Destroyer. Ronan the what?
Is it Ronan the Conqueror?
Yeah, I think it's Ronan the Conqueror. Yeah. Professor Savage Dad will correct us here in the comments in a minute.
Get on it, Professor Savage Dad. 10 seconds, Professor Savage Dad. Give it 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7.
Yeah, so I think he's driving is what he said. But anyways, so Ronan kills Drax's wife and daughter, and that's what made him try and go after Ronan, and then he got arrested and went to that prison. So Drax had a daughter and had this whole other life. So like to kind of bring that back, I thought that was kind of cool. Maybe they could have done it a little bit better.
I'm not talking about the fact that like his story of having a wife and daughter that got killed. I'm not saying that that's lame. I'm saying the fact that like, why didn't you say that you could speak their language? You didn't ask. Like that was like obviously like a little tack on by a female writer. Like, can we throw this in here because nobody ever asks me what I can do, and I want to throw that in there real quick. It's like a little jab at men. Like, you've been mansplaining this whole time, and
I just thought it was their attempt to be funny with that line, and it wasn't very funny. That's all I thought it was.
As funny at all.
I mean, I can see your point, but it's also a dude saying it to two chicks. You see what I mean? Like I see your point a little bit, but if it was a chick saying it to a dude, like, then I would get, that was some woman trying to like throw in some like, you know, feministy shit. But like, I don't know. It made me laugh because it's usually the other way around. That's what made me laugh about it, because it's usually a woman saying that to a man.
We have an answer from Professor Savage Ed. It's Ronan the Accuser.
Yes, it is.
Sorry, go ahead, Sean.
No, I was saying, like, you said it before. It's because they treat him like a retard the whole time, and now like they're trying to say, "Oh, look, I'm not that stupid," and like so, like that's essentially where we're coming from.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I mean, you know, it's the same thing as like, you know, I mean, I guess, it is a little bit. I will admit that it could have been done a little bit different, but I like the premise of why it happened. Like, I understand why he said it.
Well, the reason I didn't like it is because I was comparing it to lines like from the first movie that I thought were really funny. Like when Star-Lord says, "Oh, good thing you don't have a black light in here because this place would look like a Jackson Pollock painting.
Yeah.
I thought like that's a genius line, and so I'm comparing that line from Drax to the quality of comedy like that from the first one. So that's why I wasn't into it.
Yeah.
But,
No, I get that there were some lines that were a little bit missed in this, but overall with the comedy, it wasn't bad. And there was something from your review that I was like, what are you fucking talking about? So for one, you said that they did in true Marvel fashion of having a joke after everything, but then you also said it's like in Guardians 2 when he said you killed my mom and
smashed the Walkman.
And smashed the Walkman. So to me, I was like, well, do you want the jokes or do you not want the jokes? And then also, like, the Walkman was a big deal. Like the Walkman wasn't just a Walkman for music. Like that was from his mom.
Right. But I think, well, yeah, but I was like, it's the emotion with his mom dying. Like I was thinking, like, why would you want to muddy and trivialize that with mention of the Walkman? I get that she gave it to him and like the mixtapes and all that stuff, and that's
so
a big thing right there.
Not only was it that he killed his mom, but he killed his connection to his mom. So that's what I got from that. I don't know. I mean, you could have done the joke a little bit different, but it wasn't like he said, you killed my mom and you broke my, you know, it wasn't like a turn to the camera and like
wasn't delivered like that.
Yeah, it was still in the moment, in the emotion. So I don't know. So it was like, obviously it's meant to be kind of funny. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, there's definitely worse offenses by the MCU with breaking a dramatic. That's not the worst offense. So no.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was just it just struck me as like, okay, well, I don't think that was that bad of a joke, but okay. You're entitled
like,
to.
What do you want, fan? Come on.
I know, like, Jesus. No, but I mean, I thought it was a great third third movie of a trilogy. I thought it was great, and the High Evolutionary, like, I thought he was pretty fucking menacing. Like the fact that he was trying to recreate, like, you know, the, like, I forget something Earth. I forget exactly.
Counter Earth.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it was interesting. So he literally was fucking, you know, what Alex Jones talks about all the fucking time. It was animal human hybrids.
He was turning the frogs gay.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at all those animals they created, they were human hybrids. Like, so
it was like a furry planet. Furry.
Exactly. But they were still humans, but they were like, looked all weird. I thought that was I thought that was pretty interesting. And the High Evolutionary being with like him having that in his face basically like put on his own face, like it was because Rocket fucking scratched his shit up. Like I thought that was really cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
Because I mean, yeah, at the very end, like, you know, because High Evolutionary, you know, from when he was, you know, experimenting on Rocket and Lila and Teefs and you know, and Floor, which I thought that was fucking hilarious.
I thought they did a good job of making you want to hate him through the animal cruelty.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and then, you know, Rocket basically rips his face off, and the High Evolutionary isn't dead. So there's I like that they did that. I like that they didn't kill him because it gives him even more reason to be crazier if they bring him back. Because not only did Rocket maul his fucking face off, and then he had to make this suit and, you know, stretch his fucking skin over his face, so, you know, a new face on there, but he also gave him another reason to want to come after Rocket later. And I thought, I don't know, I'm hoping that they bring him back at some point because I fucking liked him. I thought he was pretty gnarly already.
I bet they will. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because they kept him alive. So
well, at this point, it's only Groot and Rocket who are the Guardians of the Galaxy. Everybody else need to go and discover themselves again.
Well, Nebula and Drax are still around. They're just at home.
Drax is just going to be a dad.
Well, you're the only dad in here. Are you against being a dad?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that, like, I felt that they
very weird takes for this.
He wants to be the stepdad. He's got to wait for all the baby daddies to show up, and then, you know, they're gonna all leave him. I'm like, oh, you're my real dad. Fuck you, Drax.
Like, I didn't know how to take that whole line at the end when, like, I saw you for who Nebula says the lines. I saw you for who you are today. you were born to be a dad. And I was like, okay, I kind of get it, but like I was like, but he's Drax. I don't know, I don't know. I feel like they ripped away his like superhero kind of status and like, you're just gonna be a dad now.
Doesn't that go against their whole worldview there? Like nuclear families and dads being around, isn't that a bad thing in their worldview? Like that's not a good thing.
I mean, I guess, but there wasn't a mom around, so was it a nuclear family?
Yeah, there you go. There's no mom. It's just a dad with like 20 little kids now.
Yeah, I think they would rather have no mom and no dad than have the dad around now because that's how fucked up their worldview is. But that might just be me.
Yeah, and I mean, to be completely honest, I thought that was a cool thing for Nebula, for her story too, because Nebula, she's fuck everyone. I'm trying to beat the shit out of Gamora. I'm trying to always win, and then her to come to the realization, like, nah, like you need family, like you need, someone around you to like help you. I thought that was a cool representation and like arc for her character. I thought all the arcs were pretty damn cool. Like they all came to a good conclusion at the end.
Yeah. I'll go with the family thing. Like that did actually kind of hit nicely. It just like it felt weird when like they were bringing it up for some reason when I was watching it. I don't know, because I guess when I go into a lot of these like superhero movies, I want it to be almost kind of like John Wick-ish, where it's just kind of like there's action, there's like a climax of the story, and then a resolution, and then it's like, all right, we're ready for the next one. Kind of almost like a James Bond, where it's like there's the singular storyline. But that's just not what these are.
Well, yeah, because they're a movie with like layers. It's onions, dude. This is some Shrek shit, right?
Parfaits.
Yeah.
This is some fucking Shrek shit.
You stink? Right, you mean stink? What?
Get out of my swamp, okay?
You gotta say like parfaits. Parfaits got layers.
No, I mean, and then I thought that was good. I thought what you did say that I agree with, Van, is the fact that they didn't make it to where Gamora and Star-Lord got together at the end. I did like that too, because it was like, but she still was responsive to the more positive connection between her and him. I liked that kind of aspect, like where she's like, all right, you're not so bad. Like I bet you we were pretty good. Like that's
I did like that line. Yeah, it's like I bet we were fun together, or whatever that line was. Yeah, that was a good line.
I did like that, and with Star-Lord going back to Earth, like I didn't have a problem with that. Like I thought it was pretty cool because he's been gone since he was fucking 9 years old, and he thought his grandpa like fucking was screaming at him when he so he had this whole different like opinion of, and then he goes back and he like spends time with his grandpa and like is taking care of him. Like I don't know, I thought that was kind of cool. And then there was something in there too in the end credit scene when there was something said about, oh yeah, my neighbor or like my other grandson or something like that. Like, he should be taking care of his grandfather, whatever, but he's not. And then I was watching some Easter egg, YouTube Easter egg video, and they were saying something about Star-Lord or Star-Lord's grandpa actually having another grandson that has some sort of abilities. So I thought that might be kind of cool. That might be how they bring Star-Lord back in, is because he has to like kind of go figure out who this dude is. I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting.
I was wondering what they said, because I didn't catch that in the end credit scene. I just, obviously I caught the fact that they're sitting at the table in the kitchen and he's eating cereal or whatever, and he's reading a newspaper. They're talking, but I didn't catch what Star-Lord said. But that was it. That what you just said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was something along those lines. I could have been reading into it different, or got something different from the little video that I watched or whatever. But it seemed like there was some sort of connection there, and I don't know. I kind of like that. I mean, because what are they going to do? Just have him right off into the sunset and then never bring him back into the MCU? No, they got to leave him in a spot. So if he does come back into the MCU at some point, like this is where he's been, or this is what he's been doing, instead of just like, okay, well, bye.
Yeah. It does make for an interesting situation, because like it kind of makes me wonder, like, what does Peter feel like when he goes from all the action that he's experienced in the galaxy to just sitting on the couch, flipping through the TV, flipping through the the listed channels, and what am I going to watch right now? And I'm going to grab another bowl of cereal, and all these trivial, minor things that we do, the minutia of our everyday life. Because he's gonna be thinking about, like, hey, I was fighting in a spaceship against, to save Nova Prime, And then I was fighting my dad, and I had these beams going through my eyes, and I'm half a god, and all. He goes through all this stuff, and he goes from that to like just sitting on a couch, like looking around for
but I mean,
talk shows to watch.
I mean, I get that too, but at the same time, he never did any of the growing up shit.
Right? Yeah, I guess that's not what I'm saying. I say like it's kind of, to me, that's interesting. To like, wow, it's got to be surreal to him, where he's like, or maybe like he flips through and he finds like Star Wars or something like, oh, look at that stuff. That looks like what I actually went through. Yeah, that's actually my life.
Yeah, and then he can go through the heartbreak of all that, just like we all did. But
The Last Jedi, this sucks. All right, I'm going back into space.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, fuck this, where's Rocket? But I thought that was cool, and and also now he's on Earth. So what if fucking all the Earthbound, the Earthbound fucking Avengers and all that like need his help, and they realize, oh, he's on Earth, we can go ask Star-Lord. I think that's kind of a cool concept.
What if another Tony Stark from another multiverse has come to this Earth?
Exactly.
And then they start like new Avengers or something. So yeah.
All right. So now that I talked for way too long, what is your opinion?
All right. So, well, let me ask you real quick. What did you think of Warlock? What did you think of the depiction of Warlock?
I thought it was. It would have, obviously, if you're coming from Sean's point of view of superhero movie, make him badass and it's just this big action thing. Like, yeah, he could have been cooler. But at the same time, I do like that he was kind of off, because if you notice, because the Sovereign, the gold people, they were made by the High Evolutionary as well. So basically Adam Warlock was made by the High Evolutionary too, like by proxy, and by like him saying put him in that cocoon and start making him into this being or whatever. Sure. So I think that with the High Evolutionary, I think it showed a flaw in him, that he was so desperate to win this battle, or get Rocket, and because he was the only one smart enough. Rocket was the only one smart enough to figure out the process of making these animal human hybrids and doing all this. So he didn't want that to be anywhere else in the galaxy. So he said, or the universe, whatever. And so that's why he went after Rocket again. Obviously, because his face got mauled off, whatever too. But I think it's cool that it shows some sort of desperation and flaw in his character and in his thinking, where he's like, let him out of the cocoon early. And I know he's not ready, but let him out anyway. So I think Will Poulter, or Poulter, whatever you say his fucking name.
Will Poulter,
yeah, Will Poulter. I think he played a good role of like, obviously he's this gnarly fucking dude, but he's still kind of a teenager. Like, he's still kind of like he's not ready yet. He sure. It's like the easy bake oven wasn't done yet. And like, so I think it was a cool portrayal. And I think that his character will evolve over time with that, because obviously he's going to be around and yada yada. And one thing that I thought was fucking awesome about this movie was Groot. And the reason why I say is at the very end, because he always says I am Groot or we are Groot. Those are the variations of what he says through all these movies, right? But when he says I love you guys, I thought that was really fucking cool for a couple of reasons. One, because like when I first thought about it, I was like, oh, Groot learned how to say this. He learned how to say a new phrase. But then when I thought about it, I was like, no, that was us as the audience. Like, because we've been with Groot for so long and we've seen his, like, the way, his inflections of the I am Groot or we are Groot or whatever. And we are understanding what he says now.
Right. Yeah. You see James Gunn confirm that?
Yes. And and then when James Gunn confirmed that, I was like, yeah, that's what's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't really pick up on that. But now you explain that, like, okay, yeah, I could totally see that. Like, now we're understanding him now too, because they kept on making references of that as well. Like
Gamora.
That's all you ever say is "I am Groot, I am Groot." They kept on like saying that in this movie, and then at the very end, is, "I love you guys."
Yeah, and also it makes us kind of like, because the Gamora in this one, she couldn't understand Groot through the whole beginning, and then by the end, she responded to one of his "I am Groots." So she kind of started learning on, picking up on how he talks and what he means and whatever. And then at the end of the thing, like they had the audience involved in that too, which I thought that was a really cool concept. And if you listen to what James Gunn says about it, he's like, yeah, over like a majority of the I am Groots are profanity or some sort of like go fuck yourself, basically.
Especially in Volume 2 when he was a teenager.
Yeah, that was fun.
Exactly. I am Groot.
What the hell? You clean your mouth out there, young man. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's so great.
Yeah. Well, speaking of James Gunn, though, he did confirm another one because one of the other questions was like, where is Star-Lord's mask that he used, or his helmet? Sorry, not his mask, his helmet, like in the first 2 movies. And then where are his rocket boots that were in his first 2 movies? And his explanation was, well, they left nowhere really quickly, so he accidentally left his helmet in the desk. Okay. And then the rocket boots, the reason he doesn't have those is because Rocket created like these rocket packs that obviously he wears that much more powerful than the rocket boots right there. So I thought it was cool that James Gunn got on there and provided the context and explanation for that, because I was wondering that, like, where's his helmet? Was that just some contrivance that they had in there so that he would freeze, in space again, and then Warlock would have to go and save him? But at least he provided an explanation that's plausible, right? You're leaving nowhere really quickly to save your buddy, So I could buy that.
And I really liked the whole concept of after Adam Warlock obviously injures Rocket, and they try and put the little med pack over him, and it doesn't work because he has a little basically the kill switch on his heart. I thought that was an interesting concept, that like they had to go figure out how to do this and yada yada. I thought that was pretty cool.
The classic exciting action.
Yeah, and it gave another level to the High Evolutionaries, like thinking like no one is going to get this, this IP or whatever. China will not be able to take this over.
It's like the Steve Jobs of the universe.
Yeah, exactly. Which with more stretchy skin. Like, I don't know. I thought that was really, really cool. And I will completely admit I am comfortable enough in my manhood to say that the end of the movie had me, dude. Like I was sitting here watching it like just on my phone screen, like with my hands like on the desk, like, no, like what's going on with Rocket? He can't die.
Homo.
A little bit. It's fine. I'll admit it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good right there. And I will give my take here right there, but only after we talk about Nature Clear. Hey, how about a bait and switch right there, huh? Yeah, Nature Clear, yes. Nature Clear, everybody, okay? So this is recovery powder to help you recover from hangovers, okay? Or to outright prevent one, okay? Because the Nature Clear recovery powder just comes in these packets, okay, that you've seen with like Kool-Aid and all that stuff. And then basically all you do is like put it in like 12 ounces of water or a bottle of water. Yep, there you go. Yep, Ian's hooking this up right there. So you there you go. That's perfect. There you go. Just rip that bad boy open, throw in a bottle of water, shake. Well, I was going to make some kind of gesture there, but just shake it up. There you go. I will say that audibly.
You're frozen right now.
Shake that up right now. Yeah.
You're frozen, so Professor Savage Dad cannot meme you, so you're good.
That'll teach me not to forget to hook up my Ethernet cable. I've got it hooked up right now, so that's ironic why it keeps freezing up. Supposedly I have a better internet connection, but okay.
That's weird.
Weird. Yes.
If you need to jump out and like reset that stuff, I think like Sean and I can hold it for you guys. For a second, just letting you know. So
I think I will, like after Nature Clear, I'll do the promo and then I'll jump out here, and I can leave the studio without shutting everything down, right?
Yeah, because we're in. So
okay.
I mean, and so if you need to even restart your computer, do all that, we can talk. So
you bet. Yeah. That way it gives you a chance, guys, to argue intensely while I'm gone. We
never do that.
I expect to like come back on and like your everything's on fire, and your glasses are over there and shit. But Nature Clear, but I digress. Okay, so you take the Nature Clear before you head out and they hit the streets and go do a little partying, and you can get as crazy as you want. You don't have to worry about getting a hangover. Or if you're out partying and you're like, oh man, I forgot to take my Nature Clear. Well, have no fear. Okay, they thought ahead. Okay. All you got to do is take it when you get home, and it's going to prevent the hangover there as well. Also helps to recover from smoking and vaping, okay, and having your taxes done by a bad accountant. Well, okay, maybe not that last one, but get yourself some Nature Clear, all right? And you're probably asking, how do I get the Nature Clear? Well, you go down to that handy Nature Clear link in the description, right? Click on that. It's so easy. Even I can do it, okay? And you pick out what you want at once. You get it in the carts. You put in promo code movies in the promo code field, And yeah, you hit the old buy button and you're on your way, man. Get ready for recovery, okay? So that is Nature Clear recovery powder, all right? Okay, enough of that right there. So yeah, you guys take it away here. I am going to reboot and I will be back.
Okay.
Sweet. Okay,
Right,
so Sean, what was the last MCU movie that you saw?
Before this one,
Yes.
Endgame. Probably.
Oh, so you haven't seen any of the shows or any of the anything?
No.
Yeah. Well,
I
I mean,
gave up because I think I told you before. It was like that felt like the right way to end it to me. Like I don't know, the whole thing just kind of like they brought everybody back and it was like the end, and I was like,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, I see your point there, but that it was the end of the Infinity Saga, so like of the Thanos of that whole buildup and whatever. So it was the end of that part, but then it's. I can understand that too because we're not used to having a universe that is like the MCU because there's so many movies and so many tie-ins from other shit. So like
I got exhausted of the fact that like if I didn't see this other thing, I won't really get all the references in this other movie. And it's like I watched a lot of stuff, but then like I noticed that even watching the Infinity series, like that series, like the Infinity Wars and all that stuff.
yeah.
Even with like what was like the Vision, like with all that, like when they were like when they made Vision and all that stuff, like that was all part of the Avengers movies. And like when I'm watching that, there were still parts that I was missing because I didn't see like the third Iron Man, or I didn't see the Winter Soldier, or I didn't see like I didn't see certain movies. I'm like like I don't really know all of this stuff, so it was already starting to like. It was almost kind of like sticking its nose up at me, almost like the whole MC universe. I was like, where it's like, oh, you didn't watch all that stuff? Well, too bad. And
Well,
now I'm feeling left out. And then like after I watched those movies, I was just kind of like, okay, I think I'm out at this point, because then they were doing like WandaVision, and then they started doing like other shows, like series, and like there's a lot of other shows that I watch. So like, and I'm way more into.
Yeah.
So like for me to make time to watch like these series of something I'm not really fully vested in already, besides like I liked the Infinity Wars movies. I thought they were good. Like so like I like that, but I'm not invested enough to go and sit through all these series just for when they make a new movie, I'm going to know all the references.
Well, yeah, understandable. It totally makes sense. Like if you're not invested in it, then obviously you're not going to spend the time. But then, it's one of those things like, every action has a reaction. So if you're not invested in it, you don't watch it, then yeah, you're not going to get some of the references and whatever. But yeah. What's up?
Give me 1 second.
One. I'm by myself, guys. I'm by myself. No, if you don't watch the other ones, which it's understandable, but I do think that I do think that there are cool tie-ins with all of the I do think there's cool tie-ins with all of the different movies, and I think they do it pretty well. So even if there is a movie that isn't amazing, there's still going to be cool tie-ins from other movies. Like Eternals was mostly horrible, but like Eternals was mostly horrible, but there were some cool concepts and some cool tie-ins. Like I like how they went back in history and a lot of the main parts of history, like Babylon and fucking all these different, big, moments in the history of Earth had something to do with Eternals, but they didn't help out the like all those civilizations, like win a war or win a battle or whatever, but they were still there as a part of those big, whatever. So
yeah, I didn't see the Eternals thing, but I had heard that it was just it flopped. It wasn't very good.
It was not great at all. I mean, again, I'm a nerd, so I love the MCU stuff, but at the same time, oh yeah, there we go. Let me switch you back up over here real quick.
Thank you.
Oh, nice. Yeah, there you go.
Is it better?
Yeah. So basically,
moving around.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, stop. No,
yeah.
But and hands. But no, Sean was just saying how he didn't like how if you didn't watch other stuff, you wouldn't get references like in the Infinity Wars and like this. You wouldn't get the references, and it was said it was kind of like a nose in the air kind of thing.
It felt very snooty. Like the whole MCU started to feel very snooty after Endgame.
Snotty.
Yeah. And like that was really my issue where I kind of gave up. Same thing with like Star Wars and all that stuff. I like after a certain point, I just kind of stopped caring anymore.
Yeah.
You know? And like the thing is, like I like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, so like I had a genuine interest in seeing the third one. For sure. So like this one, like I was excited to see it, and I'm not saying that it was bad by any means. I enjoyed the movie. I thought there was a lot of cool parts in it. I just felt that there was moments I'm like, this is like feeling forced, if anything.
Sure.
Well, I think you got bored. I think you got bored, Sean. I think that's what it was.
No, I don't know. You know what? I'll say this. There was a moment where I did check to see how much more was left in the movie because I thought like this was going on really freaking long, and I had like an extra hour left. I'm like, damn, yeah, taking a watch.
I think the MCU is a victim of their own success because in the first 10 years, I thought how they tied everything together and just the consistent quality that they brought to every movie was unparalleled. I've never seen a franchise like that because we've never had a movie cinematic universe like that ever before.
That's what I was just saying. Like we're not used to having this. We're not used to having this expansive of a universe, and there's 30 movies that are all somehow connected.
Right, exactly. And that's what makes that payoff at the end of Endgame that much cooler and that much special because when they have the big battle royale at the end, you know, where Captain America's like Avengers assemble, dude, and right when he said that, like, holy fuck, we've been waiting for that since 2008 in Iron Man,
dude. I'm telling you right now, when I watched it in the theaters, because like when I watched it in the theaters, I watched it like not opening night but the night after, and I went with it was me, Jen, and a couple of friends that they just moved out to Vegas. We're gonna go see them here soon, but we all went and watched it in the theaters, and I wanted to be able because we were gonna be doing a review on Til Death Podcast. And so I was like, I want to be able to like go back through and kind of remember because it's a 3-hour fucking movie. I want to be able to. So I just recorded the audio of it on my phone. So I have like an audio of the whole fucking movie, and you can hear everyone in the theater like cheering, and so it was kind of a cool experience. And dude, when Captain America grabbed the fucking grabbed Thor's hammer, dude, I was like, what the fuck? This is fucking awesome. And like. And then, and then when he said Avengers Assemble, because he almost says it like 2 or 3 times in all the movies before that. Like at the end of Avengers 2, at the Age of Ultron, at the very end, when it's like him and Falcon and Scarlet Witch and a couple of them, and he's leading this new band of Avengers. He says Avengers, and then it cuts the screen. So he almost says it, which is a huge part of the comics, is the Avengers Assemble and all that. So when he finally fucking says it, I was, dude, this is fucking amazing.
right, exactly, yeah. So I think Mjolnir, and then when he says that was like the big payoff lines right there. But yeah, so just the way that Marvel tied that all together, I thought that was great. And at that time, like. The concept of watching movies where the world was constantly under danger or under threat, and there was always the next big baddie. You know, each one was badder and bigger than before. We got to get this done, otherwise the world is going to end. And we got all these creatures coming from space and whatnot, and it was fresh and new. So I think that now we've seen that for 15 years now, and I think at least for me. For me, since I'm like Sean, I didn't read the comic books. Yeah. And so I don't have that appreciation for it because I can imagine if you read the comic books and now in we were in phase 4, now we're in phase 5, but with movies in phase 4 that people that don't read the comic books really don't give a shit about, like Eternals, I can stand that movie, but I could see like where someone who read the comic book, we like, it's going to hold some interest for them that I don't have because I don't care because by the time Eternals came out, I'm like, oh, they're saving the world again? Yeah, and there's another big God thing, Like,
that's what I was just saying to Sean is like the Eternals I thought was overall horrible, but there were cool tie-ins to the rest of the universe, like bringing Black Knight, who is basically Jon Snow, like his character and that Kit Harington or whatever, like the character that he played, he becomes Black Knight from the comics, and Black Knight is related to Blade, which Blade is a Marvel property as well. So I think, which they're going to be bringing Blade, which I think is Mahershala Ali. Yeah. And he's going to be playing Blade, which I think is cool. Cause again, a tie-in to another property. So the movie of Eternals was generally horrible. There was some cool characters and some cool concepts and whatever, but like generally I thought it was really, really cool how they like tie those in. So that's why I like the MCU, because of the tie-ins to different stuff. Like Captain Marvel, that shit was horrible, but it was cool how they introduced the Skrulls and they introduced these other things, which also introduces how Nick Fury becomes, on this other planet, or, he's separated it. I don't know. It just, to me, it was, I appreciate what they put in the movies.
But to Sean's point, you have to be read up on that, so to appreciate. So that's why I think that the MCU is making a mistake right now, where you have to read into stuff. You have to, I was about to say joke and say you have to have a PhD in Marvel, but it's a little going overboard. You have to be a comic book reader, where in the first 10 years, you didn't have to be. If you were, it enhanced your experience. But Joe Blow off the street, who hadn't read a Marvel comic book, he didn't know a Marvel comic book from a candy bar, could just go in there and watch Captain America, the Winter Soldier, like, wow, this is a cool, badass action movie. Wow, this is pretty cool. It's like a 70s, political thriller. It's cool. He didn't have to read Captain America number 43, and all that kind of thing to appreciate it. Where now you have to, in order to find any kind of enjoyment that you already got naturally from the first 10 years. And if they want to market it that way, then say that, but don't set the expectation in the first 10 years where anybody can go watch your movie. And then now they're putting the onus on you. You've paid your 10, 12, 15 bucks, go watch a movie. And now you're being told, well, that's just because and I'm not saying you're saying this, Ian, but people are just saying like, well, if you were a comic book reader, you'd really get a lot out of it and whatnot. That's on you. You need to become educated, like I shouldn't have to.
And I get your point too. I think even with their downfalls, I think they're doing the best they can, because they're kind of in between a rock and a hard place, because you obviously want to be able to have the movie stand alone, but because there's so much source material, they have to appease those fans to a point as well, because there is the source material. So they're the ones that read it, like your Professor Savage dads and your other nerds around there. And me to a point, I am nowhere near the nerd level that Professor Savage dad is. I will completely admit that. He owns like 20,000 fucking comics or some shit like that. Like he's way off the deep end in that. But
Professor's raising his fist right now in there. Oh, yes, I am the ultimate warrior.
Oh, like I'm sure that I've lost you guys a couple of times through my rants here of being a nerd. But he lost me on a couple of things when we were having our conversations too. So like you guys aren't the only ones, but like, I think that they're doing a somewhat good job of balancing that where you can still enjoy the movie but on their own, but at the same time, if you do invest the time to like watch the other movies or see the tie-ins or read the comics and see where those go, because they're pretty different from the comics. They're not one to one ratio of comics to movies. Like so they are a little bit different, which gives it a new story, which gives it a new kind of take on it, which is sometimes good, sometimes bad. But I think they're doing a pretty good job of doing a balancing act of this is what happened and what we're taking it from, and this is our new version. And but you can kind of still watch it without them. But I don't know. That's
yeah. Well, I'll tie that into my take on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 here. So I mean, I think this is the best movie, the best Marvel movie since Avengers Endgame, except for Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay, now. Take that in combination with my spoiler-free review, and if you read that, you're like, wow, the other movies that aren't named Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Phase 4 and Phase 5, so you must really hate those. But I thought that this movie was the best one since Spider-Man No Way Home. Is Spider-Man considered part of the MCU? I know Sony it is part of it.
It is part of the MCU, but it was done in congruence with Fox Sony.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Okay, so I think I'll just say so since Endgame, I think is the best one right there, because I've always liked Guardians of the Galaxy. I like the first two movies, and because what Marvel did was genius. They took characters that nobody knew. Like most people didn't know who the Guardians of the fucking Galaxy was. I was like,
who they were before they brought them up.
Yeah, no one knew. And so to take property like that and make people love these characters, hats off, chef's kiss to Marvel right there. Because I wasn't going to go see it, but then the reviews were so through the roof for the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and I saw it like, man, I am so glad I saw this. And then it carried through, less so through Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I didn't think that was quite as good. And so that goodwill played very well for Marvel, as far as attracting me and influencing my opinion of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But then the movie kicked in, okay? And for me, the screenplay just wasn't as good as the first two. And again, that goes back like, you're a victim of your own success through the first two movies. And the emotion, I didn't really mind the emotion that much because Guardians of the Galaxy, surprisingly, for like, a space adventure and laser beams and gods, it is very emotional. The first one, when Groot sacrifices himself, at the end.
Early.
Yeah, and so there's and then of course, like you were talking about like earlier with Drax losing his wife and daughter and him trying to get revenge for that. So that's inherently emotional. Yeah. My problem with the emotion in the third one is they didn't really earn it. I mean, I think that they should have had more scenes with Rocket and Teef and Floor and Lila. Because a lot of people are probably like, oh my God, those animal cruelty scenes, they're so sadistic and I can't handle them. And me, I'm the guy like, I want more of them. Not because I'm a sadistic son of a bitch, but just because I thought that it would have earned the emotion more. It got more dialogue.
I get you on that.
Yeah, get the sadness. Because in this movie, they're setting everybody up. Like, oh, I love these characters. And they're so cute and cuddly and whatnot. So, and they are, and I get what they're doing. Because then they want to
for a little baby raccoon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, especially when it calls itself Floor, and so, but everybody with half a brain knows where they're going, right? With that, they're like, we don't see these characters in the first movie. They're gonna tragically kill them and whatnot. So, but I think that they should have had more of those scenes so that when that happened, for me, and obviously, different strokes for different folks, but for me, I compare it to, I think in my like Field of Dreams. For the Green Mile. Okay, I thought that those were movies that earned the emotional payoff, right? Like when they electrocute John Coffey at the end of the Green Mile, we've had so much time with them that it earns that payoff. You've gone through hell and beyond and all these experiences with John Coffey and Tom Hanks and David Morse and all those guys. In the Field of Dreams, it's been all building up to him meeting his dad or the regret of him, his dad, and him having a bad relationship. It just led up to that point, and it gave you enough time to where you're like, man, if these guys ever meet, or when they execute John Coffey, I'm gonna fucking lose it, man. I'm gonna be a bucket of tears and whatnot. And they just didn't give it enough time for me, anyways, to earn that. Because I wanted that. I mean, I remember I watched the clip of I watched a clip of those animals. Like, remember they had the clip ahead of the movie. Yeah. And I watched it, and I was watching. I was like, dude, I'm gonna be a fucking mess in this movie. I'm gonna be like, yeah. So I'm gonna and so when I saw it, I saw the movie. I'm like, oh man, look.
I understand your point, but at the same time, it again is between a rock and a hard place of people. Plenty of people have complained, just like you were talking about, Sean. Is like it was too long of a movie. So like they have to balance that. Like, do I want do I want a short movie to appease, like these people, or do I want a longer movie to flesh out more of that story? Yeah. So it's kind of.
Well, Sean, did you think Avengers Endgame was too long?
Well, I knew going into it that it was going to be long. Like for some reason, I didn't think that like another Guardians of the Galaxy movie was going to be super long. I don't think the first two were that long.
Yeah, but the reason I asked is just because my thought is like if a movie is good, it could be 7 hours long, and I'm going to love it because it's so good. You're like, paradise for 7 hours, sweet,
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Like you can have a good long movie. That's not really an issue. It's just like I think I went into it not expecting it to be so long. Had I gone into it thinking like 2.5 hours, I'm good for 2.5 hours. Like then I would probably be fine, you know.
Right.
But like, I think ever since they did like those the Infinity Wars and Endgame stuff, where those were long movies because they're trying to do so much. There's so much storyline and like characters and trying to like give you enough Easter eggs for everybody to talk about all this stuff. Like if they do all of that, now they have to kind of like set that bar to like, this is what people expect from us. So like, yeah, I get it. We're like, they're going to try and like do all this stuff like in each one of the movies, try to give you all the nostalgic, like, I don't know, the feet, like the tinglies, if anything like that, you're gonna be like, ooh, yeah, this is it.
Get you in the feels. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I totally get that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I should have known what I was walking into a little bit more, but I did want to say, guys, that I have to roll out, but you guys keep going with your review. I'll just be spectating when I come back. But yeah, I think at this point, your conversation has graduated beyond my education of the.
We're the AP course. You're like in the special ed course.
Yeah, I'm like the remedial.
I've got mail.
Yeah, hey, you still need your tradesmen.
I'm a dumbass.
Yeah, the world needs ditch diggers too.
That's me in the MCU.
Hey, just to let you know, just to answer your question, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 was 2 hours and 1 minute. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was 2 hours and 16 minutes. And Guardians 3 was 2 hours and 30 minutes. So it did gradually get a little longer.
Gradually got a little bit longer.
Which most movies and trilogies do.
The first one was like, I felt like a perfect length. I don't know. The first one was great. And also, the soundtracks are always really good. Now, I did notice that the soundtracks, they graduated, like, and they even try to like, or through like the generations, like, so like the first one was very kind of like Motown, like 70s, and then like they did a lot of 80s in like the second movie, and then this one was like 90s, and like, I thought that was kind
Faith
of
No More and Florence and the Machine.
I think the reason why was because the original movie came from his Walkman from his mom, and then the second one that there was still some of the other tracks and whatever, and then at the very end of the second one, he got the Zune. He got that, which could carry all those tracks. So the third one, this one had a lot more newer music that Yondu, or Michael Rooker's character, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. I think that and really quick, bringing him up and bringing up Kraglin, I do have to say, movies, I'm sorry, but I thought you were Kraglin for a second. You have a look that looks like Kraglin. I was like,
the no chin.
It's like, oh, it's Van. It's Van with a red.
Look at that chiseled chin right there. Oh, yeah.
Either way, I really appreciated the soundtrack still nonetheless. I thought that they always made that pretty appeasing for like the movies. So like that was why Guardians of the Galaxy was my favorite of like the MCU stuff that I did see.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, when Cherry Bomb started playing, they're all walking in slow motion and shit. Like in the first one, like, oh fuck yeah. So
dude, I thought No Sleep Till Brooklyn while they're having that fight in that corridor was fucking awesome. That fight
was one of my favorites.
So cool, dude.
Yeah,
so cool.
I had to forget they just used that in the Super Mario Brothers movie, so I was like, then they did the corridor fight, and I was like, all right, Van. Stop thinking. Just enjoy the fight. You have
a better recollection with that song now.
Right, exactly. Just play Sabotage instead or something.
The corridor fight scene was definitely one of my favorites for sure. So that was memorable. But yeah, keep going, guys. You're doing a great job. Sounds great.
Thanks, man.
Out of here. I will see you guys in the next stream.
Sweet.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining, man. Yep.
Of course. Take
Later,
care.
dude.
All right, yeah. Oh, yeah, real quick before I forget, check out Sippin With Shawn every other Friday with our boy right there. So that's what, 5 o'clock his time, I think, or
5:30 every other.
I knew you were about to fuck it up, Van, so I'm coming back.
5:30 p.m. Eastern time every other Friday. So not this Friday, next one.
Yeah, and get some tasty drink recipes.
This is your banner, right? This is your website.
Yeah.
Okay. Solo.to/I'm Sean Kev.
Now get the fuck out of here. No.
Yeah.
You guys like right. I remember like before, like, oh man, I forgot I left Sippin With Shawn out there earlier. So, but a wrong needed to be righted. So yeah.
And just letting you know, I am free for as long as you want this conversation to go.
Sweet,
yeah. Nerd.
I'm having too much fun. Yeah, exactly. This might be like a 3-4 hour thing right here. So yeah. We got beer drinking Trev in here.
Yes,
yeah, I don't know if you guys mentioned that.
Trev, how you doing, bud?
Yeah, welcome. Corridor fight like Neo and the Key Master in the Matrix. Yeah. Remember with all the doors, right?
Yeah. Man. It was just I just thought it was a really cool fucking. I thought it was a good end to the trilogy. Like, I thought that because there was a lot being said of who's gonna die out of the Guardians of the Galaxy. That was a build up before this movie came out, and they pulled on those heartstrings of everyone. Yeah. Like, because Drax gets shot through the chest, and we think he's gonna die, and obviously Rocket is going through this thing where he might die through the whole thing, and then fucking Quill when he's trying to save everyone and is in space, and it was weird how his face like puffed
floated up. Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? That was weird.
And then how did it go back to normal? I mean, I guess I don't know how space exposure works. Maybe it's like it's air. Maybe it's air, and then once we get back into oxygen, the air comes back out, and your face goes back to normal. I don't know
exactly how they like revived him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, an even worse offense is remember Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and their eyes are popping out of their head, at the end when they're in Mars, and somehow when they get back oxygen, their eyes go right back in their head.
Yeah, man. The way that I look at it too is because I like a lot of TV shows for the reason of you're able to flesh out characters, and you're able to extend the story a little bit more and kind of go into more nuanced little storylines and like little little characters. But that's what I like about the MCU as well, is that it's almost like a big TV show, and they're different episodes here and there. But also with that, you have to, every TV show has some episodes in a season, or has a season that's kind of like a character building season, or a character building episode, or someone that's a little slower, that just builds up because you have to have a reason. Like when I was writing the story for my little the Hero and Me, music, the band that I was doing, right?
Okay.
My little side project, most of the intro stuff on Til Death Podcast.
Is that what the band's called? Is the Hero in Me?
Yeah, it's called Hero in Me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hero in Me. Okay.
Yeah. And so, it's a whole, concept project where it's all based off superheroes and based off, all that stuff. So again, nerd. But when I was looking into, because I'm not a vocalist, primarily I'm a guitarist. Like I'm not a lyricist, sure. Anything like that.
So you're Yoko Ono.
Yeah. Basically, exactly. I don't know if you watch that video where it's John Lennon, Yoko Ono, and playing with Chuck Berry, and when she starts singing, he's like, "This fucking bitch," you know what I mean?
I've seen that. Yeah,
so great. He's just like, "Why are you fucking letting her sing? Shut her up."
Like Chuck Berry's like, "I found a new woman to piss on."
Yeah. So Professor Savage said that is a weird. You need to get off those sites that you got going on over there.
Right. Yep. Trev is like a transporter had a hallway fight as well. Do you remember that there, Ian?
Hallway fight. I don't know if I saw the transporter movies.
I think the most famous hallway fight. We'll get back to you, Ian. I think the most famous hallway fight is in the movie Old Boy. You ever seen Old Boy? It's a Korean movie. That's one where he's got an axe. And he's going through and he's fighting like a bunch of dudes in a hallway and whatnot. Yeah. So maybe it's not the most famous. So, but anyway, you were saying.
No, you're good. And so when I was writing the lyrics for that, because basically the premise is like, it's like the five band members or whatever, right? So, when they're all out drinking, and this pod comes in from space and lands in a field, and so all the five of them drunk. Oh, let's go check it out. And then fucking walk up to this thing, and it's an orb from space that it's a little pod, and it opens, and it has 5 different elements. And so they're all like, oh, let's check it out. And they all touch it. Whenever they touch it, they get these they get the 5 like kind of superpowers, I guess you'd say.
Is
And
it literally like air and water and dirt and all that? Or
it was fire, ice, telekinesis, telepathy, telepathy, and then there was invisibility. So those were the 5 elements. And so
Topo
basically,
Chico?
What?
Topo Chico?
Yeah, exactly. And so where that came from is basically, so in the 60s during the space race, there were different, secret missions being flown out into space, and one of the missions were the Gemini missions, which that was this is all in history. This is I based it off as much history as I could. I was born in May, so I'm a Gemini, so I thought that was kind of cool too. So so that gets sent out, and basically what it was is that there were 5 different in that pod or capsule or whatever. There were 5 different little things in there with information about our way of life and our history and all that.
Oh, sure.
And so it was sent out into space and never heard from again until this night. And basically it went to 5 different galaxies or whatever, and whatever element was in those little 5 different things was their representation. Like they took the information from us and then they put something that represents their galaxy or their whatever. So comes back, and then that's when the whole and then whenever we touch them or whatever, and then you get the power in you, then that's when the album starts. And so the album was it was the way I wrote it was kind of like a first person's perspective. So it was kind of like it started out with like being kind of like pissed off at yourself, then pumping yourself up, and then realize so it goes down this whole road. And then on the 6th song, because there were 5 powers, so on the 6th song it's written in a group perspective. So instead of like I am doing this, it's written in we are doing this kind of thing.
Okay. And
so that was my basic premise of that's what I wanted to do. So and again, I'm not a lyricist, I'm not a story writer, I don't fucking do that shit. So I just got really high and said, okay, this is and I was like, this is the word that I want to represent this song. And I just came up with a word, and then I looked up quotes and I looked up basic story premises around that word, and then kind of like threw those in there and kind of worked them around a little bit. Like in the 3rd song, the chorus is about the God grant me the serenity to admit the things, or to
that's saying
whole,
is that the AA creed or something like that. Yeah,
I basically did that, and then I twisted it around and said, you have the serenity to accept the things you can't change, with the courage and confidence to know that you can change anything. So it was kind of like a twist on it.
Okay.
And so that's what I was trying to do. But like the reason why, brought all this up, this long-winded explanation, was as I was trying to write things and, reason with how you write characters and how you do all this stuff, I looked up Lawrence Kasdan from the original Star Wars.
Sure.
And what he said is when you write heroes or you write your main protagonists, if you want your audience to relate to them and you want your audience to understand their struggle, what you do is you basically throw your main characters up in a tree and throw rocks at them, and then you figure out how to get them down.
Sure.
That's basically that dichotomy of like they're going through their struggle and their situation, and how do you get them out of it?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And so I think that the writing of like something like a TV show or something like a long-winded thing, you have to have those lulls, I guess you would say, but like you have to have that period. And I think Phase 4 was kind of that lull and that like story building part. I don't know.
Yeah, I think like with that here, and Lawrence Kasdan, good mention, he was like, he also wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark, or helped write Raiders of the Lost Ark. Exactly. Yeah. The Big Chill, of course, probably everyone's favorite movie here at The Big Chill, right? Silverado. Yep, exactly. So, I think like I've heard that too. I've heard that from folks like Phase 4 is like, the moment of quiet contemplation, or it's like it's the release of the tension before the tension, rises, that kind of thing. I guess I would have to slightly disagree with that, just because I think like it's like the directionless phase, because like with the first 3 phases, it was anything but directionless, right? They were headed towards the end of the Infinity Saga and taking down Thanos and whatnot. And so by the time we got to the end of Endgame, like I said before, it was a big payoff. And then now in Phase 4, they're just like, it just feels to me that they're like, we don't know what to do. And maybe they do know what to do, but they're just not really giving me those vibes. Now, I can appreciate what you're saying because it is good. Even like in the biggest action movies, like say Mad Max Fury Road's a perfect example. Yeah. That movie is like just slam, bam, like bang, pop, pow kind of action, But even that movie does have its quiet moments, right? And then it gets right back into it. So you do have to have that tension and release and that kind of thing. But to me, Phase 4 is like, it was just almost like it was directionless. Plus, they're like, now that everyone's in love with the MCU, now we could start doing our woke after school specials to a point. We can start throwing our messaging in there. Our the MCU, as Nerdrotic calls it, and all that stuff. And I'm pissed off because you're soiling the good name of something that's beloved, right? The MCU, Marvel, and whatnot. It's like it's got a perfectly good IP. It's beloved by comic book readers everywhere, and you're just pissing on them by trying to incorporate your, the message, into that.
I definitely agree with you on that. I definitely disagree with a lot of the woke type stuff in there, but what's the whole thing? You separate the art from the artist. And
right. Yeah, I've always heard that too. Yeah. For me, I have a hard time with that, like harder now.
Yeah.
Because like before, there was just like a few artists that you had to do that with. Like say back in the 70s and 80s, everyone hated Jane Fonda, right? Because she was Hanoi Jane.
So she should be hated. She's
exactly. She should. So, but she was like, oops, yeah, exactly. Jane Fonda is a wonderful woman, very caring, and I admire her so deeply.
Yeah, I said she was a bunch. She's great at baseball.
But she was the only one, right? She was like the only one he had to do that with, right? And I'm sure there's some others that I'm not thinking of. But then once social media came out, then it started revealing how stupid a lot of these dumb motherfuckers are, right? And you start realizing, I always admire these people in their movies, and I thought like these guys are like they really got their shit together. They're very intellectual. I'm sure I would love to have a beer with them and sit down and just talk about philosophy and all that stuff. And then you hear them spout their shit on Twitter and Facebook and whatever, and you're like, these guys are fucking morons. They're like my next door neighbors that are fucking morons. So now you have more celebrities where you have to separate the art from the artist and whatnot, Mark Ruffalo and all those guys, and that kind of thing.
Professor Savage that does make a good point. He said they pissed on us when they decided that their marketing, including calling the fans toxic, racist, bigots, etc., when a movie didn't look like it would do too well. And I do agree. I do agree with you on that completely. It's ridiculous, and it's one of those things too where it's like they preempted it, so it wasn't like, okay, let's let this movie come out. And then say that afterwards, whatever. They'll be like, yeah, shut up. Your movie just didn't do good. But they preempted it with that. If you don't like this, you're this. So that, yes, I agree with that. That is very fucking annoying.
Right. That is the death nail right there. If that's such a thing right there. So I mean, because they would just shut their fucking mouths up if they would just shut the hell up about that stuff, but they just can't hold it in, right? They're just like, I can't wait to tell all these people that we're doing it for diversity and we're going to have our first gay kiss and we're going to have this and that and all that stuff. Yeah. It's like if they would just shut the fuck up, and just let people go into the movie without some preconceived notion and some notorious thing that's going to happen and that kind of thing. I think
if they would just let the movie happen and then that thing would be a part of it. Yes, I completely agree with you. Like, but I mean, I will say there were, character like Professor Savage Dad and I were getting into this conversation before about X-Men, and X-Men was a lot of it was written because of kind of like Stan Lee was saying, it was because of the gay community. Like, because they were saying we were born this way. That was one of the things of the X-Men. We were born this way.
Sure.
So we are just mutants, which there was a video that he sent me saying that Stan Lee wrote that because he couldn't come up with any more origin stories of like got bit by a spider or fucking, this.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And so the X-Men, being born this way or, this or that, then it's a representation of kind of bringing in that social, thing of of being gay or before it was LGBT, whatever.
It's like an allegory or something.
Yeah,
right?
like this is a representation of this sect of society. So I mean, the politics and this and social issues and all of that, and race issues and all of that. Like, I do agree with you, beer drinking Trev. Gambit does need a standalone movie. I used to love Gambit when I was a kid.
We've only seen him in one thing, right? So far, like I think, he was in
one of the X-Men's,
X-Men Origins or something like that. Yeah, like somebody played him for a brief bit in a movie. Yeah,
and the amazing fucking X-Men cartoons back in the '90s; those were fucking great. But yeah. So I know that those concepts have been in the comics and have been in the story and whatever for a while, but
it's been more subtle.
It's how you represent it,
Sure.
So.
That's one thing I will say about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. There was no woke except for that one line from the High Evolutionary, right? Where he said, the world of ignorance and bigotry, but that was it. So, but you were saying,
yeah, but I mean, that could be, that's one of those things too, is like that can be taken in so many different ways. That could be taken as, there's, so much bigotry, but that doesn't mean that it's, from white people.
Yeah. That's what I thought too. I was like, oh, surely he's referring to the black on white violence that we keep seeing videos of, right? Or the black on Asian, right? So
or it could be, the from rich to poor, or elite to it could be taken in different ways. Obviously, it's very it's blatant with our narratives and the way our society,
the ignorance of people who vote for Democrats. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah. So you were saying, sir?
Yeah. No. Exactly. The idiots of our society. So like. So this is your show, so you have to be more. I'm just a guest, so I'll say what I'll give my horrible opinions. But,
let it flow. Let it flow, man.
Yeah, Relish. Thank you for joining the show.
Yeah, legendary Lee Kennedy. I don't know what that is. Did you? Yeah.
Okay, real quick, Professor Savage Dad did say something I want to comment. He said, how long do you keep giving money to people that hate you? I don't know. You own thousands of comics, so technically you were one of the people that gave them all the money to do all this stuff. So
yeah, and you know what the beautiful thing is, the decision is in your hands, right? So and now they're making it easier, right? I mean, they're making it easy for you to know like who not to give your money to.
So thanks, Professor Savage Dad. This is your fucking fault. No,
But
no, I mean, they've always been, those concepts have always been a part of the Marvel comics or, the MC, whatever, but a little bit more subtle. So,
right. Yeah. Stan Lee wasn't coming out going, hey, this one is for all my gay friends, So he was smart enough not to do that.
He had some things about racism or about this or that, whatever, but like, it's one of those things too. Like if you go back into the comics, Nick Fury was a white dude, and then they rewrote rewrote the, kind of redid some of the storylines or whatever. Then they wrote Nick Fury as based off Sam Jackson's character. Like they liked Sam Jackson, so they made Nick Fury in the comics kind of like Sam Jackson is in all his movies.
Oh shit! Okay.
And then they had Sam Jackson play him in the movies, which.
Okay. Cool. So did he act like Samuel L. Jackson in the comics, but he was white?
No, in the original comics when he was white, he had more of a brash, like secret agent, kind of thing or whatever, but he was a white guy. He kind of actually looked like Mr. Fantastic with like the little white on his side. Like
I gotcha. Yeah.
But then when they rewrote him as a black guy. And so they, race swapped him or whatever, but
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's like,
it was done well, though.
Yeah, but you're right, exactly. I didn't know, right? Yeah, so I mean, it's like, I think like with the minor characters, I don't care when they race swap them or anything like that. I mean, I probably don't mind near as much as like maybe somebody who's read the comic books and they're like, they were really looking forward to the incarnation of the comic book character as they know it, and then if they do race swapping, the actor or actress that they put in there better be damn good to make them forget that they did race swap them there. But if I don't know the character, I really don't care. Unless it's something, like if Superman, they're going to come up with a black Superman, movie here. And I'm like, all right. The reason I don't like that one is because it's obviously a dig, at, the supposedly evil race of white people there. There's no reason that's needed. I mean, I'm sure that you could ask plenty of black people who are like, we're perfectly fine with the white one. All right. We don't need to see ourselves literally in a Superman movie. Okay. We have Blade.
Professor Savage Dad, you're literally repeating the same things that I just said. They made him specifically look like Samuel Jackson when they launched that comic book universe a decade before they ever did the movie.
Maybe he's a court reporter. He's like transcribing what you're saying. So
yeah, exactly. Like, are you know, like on remember on Chappelle's show when they had like the little dwarf on his back and he was the stenographer? Like,
he's yeah, you know, Professor, I appreciate you contributing to the show more. You're transcribing what we're saying.
He just needs to have his voice heard.
Sure. Yes,
that's what it is.
Yes, that's what it
You're
is.
spelling things right though, so we're good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, voices should be heard. We're all about inclusion here. So yes, we don't shut any opinions down here. We just laugh at them if they're the wrong opinions.
I mean, there are things that, you know, and there are complete swings and misses. Like in Endgame, when Captain Marvel, you know, got the
the Infinity Gauntlet, and then and then said like Spider-Man's like, are you sure you can handle this? Right. And then she's not by herself. Right, exactly. Yeah.
And it's like 9 of them, and it's like, hey, Dingus, Hawkeye, who doesn't have superpowers, go get himself. Like a kid from Brooklyn named Spider-Man took it himself. Like you need to, it was like obviously they were trying to do this MCU or girl power. Right.
It's like, exactly.
Ruin that one.
Yeah, and it's funny because like a lot of women, and I think maybe like at least a couple of those actresses were like, yeah, we look back at that now and we just groan. We just realize it's maximum cringe. So yeah.
But I do like the fact that that they didn't make Captain Marvel this like end all be all where she beats Thanos.
Sure.
That, like, because you know, it made me mad about Captain Marvel, not even just because Brie Larson's a fucking piece of shit. I fucking can't stand her, anyways. But just even the fact that they were building up the Scarlet Witch to be this badass, right? Sure. And then Captain Marvel just comes out of nowhere and just like takes her spot. I was just like, okay, this doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
But I like how they brought her in for a second, and then like, you know, had her, you know, she took down Thanos' ship, she, you know, whatever. And then, you know, comes in and says what is that? Hey, Peter Parker. Like, I don't know that the way she.
Oh, right after that. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Because like, who are you? Or I'm Peter. Hi, Peter Parker.
Yeah. Just the way she said it was so snooty and annoying. Like it's literally a joke in our house between me and Jen. Like every time there's something that's like really annoying and like, hey, Peter Parker. But
thank you for selling me these cookies at my front door. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's not mansplaining. But no, like which I guess this whole stream is mansplaining. But yeah, and then they made her go up against Thanos, and it was cool. Like he like headbutted her or punched her in the head or whatever, and like she didn't move, and it was like, you know, blah blah blah. Yeah, I just saw that comment too. I saw your face reaction to that. But I think I think it was cool how they didn't make her be the one to beat him. They made
beat him, right? Yeah, let Tony do it, right? Yeah, he's the one who started it all. He's sacrificed himself.
Iron Man with that.
Right. Yep, exactly. Yeah, that still gets me. Yeah, that's tough.
Oh yeah, and I just love how it was Thanos saying "I am inevitable" throughout the whole movie, and then he comes back in with the fucking thing from Iron Man 1 saying "I am Iron Man."
Yep.
And then he snapped. Yeah, dude, from that, like literally getting chills right now just thinking about how much that scene and that whole end of that movie got me.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. It just that's another fantastic example of how they tied everything together. You know, and that was like. That probably for me the coolest way that they tied everything together, you know, from the 2008 Iron Man movie all the way to the 2018 Avengers Endgame, you know. So, but
just and just how when he's laying there after, you know, all the, you know, after the snap happens and all the bad guys are, you know, dying, whatever, and then he's laying there and, you know, Rhodey and Spider-Man and then Pepper are all talking to him and they're all standing around where he's like kind of going out, and she says you can rest now.
Right. Yeah. You
like,
can go.
Oh fuck, man. Like even right now, like behind my eyes, like I'm getting a little choked up just because it was so cool. Because he said before, I won't rest until like, or they were talking about, it was when he found out about the time travel. Right. And he's talking to Pepper and like, I figured it out. I figured out a way to do it. But you know what? I can just get rid of it. And she said, but would you be able to rest?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And then her bringing that back, I was like, oh, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and her being that understanding too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she realizes like everything's bigger than just their relationship, right? The world needs saving, the universe needs saving. So she was very unselfish in that as well. And then she had to condition herself emotionally. She had to prepare herself emotionally to like, okay, I could lose Tony.
Yeah.
So I'm getting all choked up too, man.
That and the I Love You 3000.
Oh yeah.
Like I just thought that was cool because like even if you break down the fucking nerd science of it, when he said when they were saying that in the beginning of the movie, when he's putting Morgan or to bed or whatever, that's her name, right? Morgan?
I think so. Yeah. To be honest, I totally forgot her name.
Yeah. So when he's putting Morgan to bed and he says, "I love you a ton," and she says, "I love you 3000," like 3000 is more than a ton. Like the
sure.
weight of it. So I thought that was a cool little thing as well. So she's like a smart kid.
Yeah, exactly. Chip up the old Tony Stark. Yeah.
Yeah, and then at the end when he's talking to her saying I love you 3000, like with the little projection or whatever, after they're sitting there in the cabin listening to it, and then when fucking Happy Hogan is sitting there with Morgan sitting out there and he said, "Hey, I'll get you whatever you want," blah blah, and she goes, I want cheeseburgers. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, another callback to Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. Like he wanted cheeseburgers after he got off the plane after being rescued.
Yep. It was all that. And then like, when they put his put his little thing out into the river and it's his original like chest piece. He says, proof that Tony Stark has a heart or whatever. Like, guy, like really?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then they even brought back the kid from Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, who the fuck is that guy? Yeah. And we had to look it up. Oh, that's right. It's that little kid that we saw for like 10 minutes in Iron Man 3. Okay.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah. Like when I told you that I recorded the audio from being in the theater or whatever, like you can hear everyone during the Tony Stark like funeral and like all that Tony Stark, heart-wrenching shit. You can hear everyone like in the theater, me included, and then as we're waiting for the credits to go and it's whatever, like James, my buddy, looks over at me, he's like, "You're such a bitch, why are you fucking crying?" I heard you crying. I'm like, "Fuck you, shut up."
There's a bunch of sand in here. I got some sand in my eye, and I mean, who's cutting onions?
Yeah, exactly. And then at the very end, when they have that noise, there was no end credit scenes, but they have just the noise of Tony Stark hammering out like his mask from the cave in the beginning. When you
sure, I didn't hear that. No.
So at the very end of the credits, you just hear this ting, ting,
like when he's in the cave.
Yeah. So it's like it ends. It brings that whole full circle thing.
Yeah. I think we need to get our man cards back by basically mentioning that Professor Savage said #BigTitsMatter. There we go. Yep, there we go. Exactly. I'd say that's the best contribution all night long. That's saving us and getting our man card back.
Yeah. And to me, with all of this stuff too, is like I like the open, like a lot of the open-ended stuff too, because it allows us to theorize. It allows us to sit there and be like, oh, what's gonna happen next?
Mm-hmm.
What's gonna go on in the next? Excuse me, I can't not. Like what's gonna go on?
You know, choked up because if you cry, I'm gonna cry.
Exactly, it's gonna be both of us. I'm gonna back out of the stream.
Don't you cry.
Exactly. But no, I think it is cool. It gives us something to theorize about. It gives us this would be cool if they do this. Do you think they're gonna do that? And some of those are downfalls, and they don't end up where we want them to be. But that's fucking life sometimes.
Yeah. I think they should have had like some, because they had 10 years. I think they should have had like. How when they make movies, they have like a first unit. It's the main director, the main producer, and all that. The main folks, right? And then they have a second unit where it's like the secondary director, and they film shit at different at a different location. I think they should have had like a second unit for Marvel to plan what they're going to do with Phase 4 and Phase 5 and whatnot, so that right there they could just plug and play that shit like right after Phase 3. Yeah, and then they could have had that all in place, and then everyone would be like, "Oh my god." I thought they did this genius, plan. They executed this genius plan with the first 3 phases. But man, have you seen what they're doing with Phase 4? Oh my god! Wow, this is going to be even cooler than the Infinity Saga. I think they could have done that, but I think that's why. I think that's why they're kind of like just all over the place, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you to a point. I do like how they made it because it's Phase 1 through 3 is supposed to be the Infinity Saga, and then now we're in the multiverse saga, and then whatever Phase 7, 8, 9 is going to be this saga or whatever. So I think I like how they bookended it.
Mhm.
And then, so I'm guessing they're going to do the same thing with the multiverse saga when Phase 6 is over, because they're going to be doing Secret War or the Kang Dynasty, right?
Sure. Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I if you go back in the comics, dude, Kang is a gnarly dude. Like, excuse me, Kang is the, like, you know, great grandson of the of Mr. Fantastic.
Okay, is it Reed Richards?
Yes, he's a Richards. So he's been involved in all of these other, kind of like how I was saying, like with the Eternals, like the Eternals, they are the Eternals movie was trash, but it was cool how they were there for all these big events in Earth's timeline, like Babylon and, you know, this and, you know, that. So it was cool that they were a part of it. Just like Kang was I think he was King Tut and like a bunch of different characters throughout the universe. So I think like, yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of characters that are Kang. So if you watch like the Loki series, there's a lot of Kang involved in that. And that's where he's kind of introduced. Yeah. And then he's introduced in Quantumania, but there's like different versions of him.
Yeah.
So I think it's very cool. And Jonathan Majors, I know there's a lot of shit going on with him.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens with him.
Yeah, but I think he's a good actor, and I think his portrayal of the different versions of him are pretty fucking cool. And I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with that.
Would you say he's more interesting as King in was it Loki? Is that where they first showed him?
Yeah, they first showed him at the end of Loki. Did you watch that at all?
I didn't. To be honest, I haven't seen any of the Marvel TV series. Because I refuse, like, I'm like boycotting Disney Plus, right? Like, I'm not giving Disney any more of my movie, even though when I go see a Marvel movie, I'm giving them my money. But but it's only one every 6 months as opposed to, you know, subscribing to Disney Plus. But because I asked that just because I was like, I didn't find King that interesting in Quantumania, because I thought that, you know, I had this idea in my mind, like in the comics, I bet he's much more interesting in the comic books. And now they're trying to like tone him down, trying to make him seem like he's more nuanced and cool and all that. Yeah, like he's supposed to be subdued, and because we can't have here in this century, in these modern times, we can't have somebody who's all bombastic and more aggressive and more toxic, I guess maybe. But I'm saying that not knowing at all like what he's like in the comic books. But to me, it just seemed like I bet he's like a watered down version of what he's in the comic books, and I could be wrong. But I'd want an exciting version of him.
There were different versions of Kang, and if you think about it, Thanos, who was the big bad of the Infinity Saga, wasn't introduced until the end of Avengers 1. So we didn't know who the big bad was. It was just, you know, we had Loki and Thor, and we had
Ronan,
Warmonger.
Killmonger from
Killmonger,
Black Panther.
You know what I mean? We had like big bads in the movies, but we didn't have like the big bad. And so Thanos was introduced, and it was bits and pieces. It was literally, you know, him sitting on his throne, and then one where he put his hand into the gauntlet. Fine, I'll do it myself. You know, like little things right here. So they're trying to build up Kang and build up his story in these different properties. But then he's gonna, you know, he was the big bad in Ant-Man Quantumania, but it was a completely different version. So like I think in Loki, Jonathan Majors portrayed that version of Kang really well. Like that version of Kang was the one who defeated all of the other Kangs, and he was basically in charge of the main timeline. So he was basically pruning off other timelines of other Kangs and other, you know, different things, so they wouldn't become because he basically was like, oh, I know who the rest of these Kangs are. I know who the rest of them. Like I think it was the post-credit scene in Quantumania when you see all the different Kangs, right?
Sure.
So it was basically that. So there's all these different versions of him, and all those different versions are fucking way gnarlier than the one that was in Loki. So,
how do you think that affects the payoff in movies if you know, like, you defeat Kang and just another one's going to show up? Isn't that the way like it works?
Well, yeah, but because it's multiverse, because there's different, you know, there's a different Kang from this one or from that one or this time.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like whatever the reason is, whatever the circumstances is, there's always going to be another Kang that shows up. Like, so at the end of the movie, you're like, yeah, they defeated Kang. All right, man. Okay, well, we're going to get another bad. Wait, what? Kang's going to be in the next one too? Like, oh, another Kang? You know, so to me, that's one thing that's one of the things where I'm like, well, then the payoff doesn't seem as good at the end of the movie. So,
well, yeah, at the same time, though, like, you know, if you think about it, when Thanos was introduced, there was a lot of that speculation, like, oh shit, are they going to do fucking Infinity Gauntlet? You know, is that going to be the storyline from the comics? Yeah. We know that this is what happened in the comics. Yeah. So, you know, so
because that's one of the downside of multiverse, because like the concept of a multiverse, to me initially, I'm like, that sounds fucking gnarly. Wow, that's mind blowing. Like you could have Earth 1 and Earth 197 and Mars 34 and whatnot, you know, and all these different versions. It sounds gnarly, but then when I start breaking down, like, yeah, but then, you know, if they beat a bad guy, then there's like, you know, 6,134 more that bad guy that could come in. Yeah, and they have to fight that again. And so to me, that's I guess that's a bug, you know, a bugaboo for me.
Yeah, I mean,
right there.
It could be cool if they set it up though, where it is a bunch of different, like they're all, you know, in the Kang, the Kang dynasty or whatever that they're setting up for the next Avengers.
Sure,
it could be cool where there is a scene where there's just so fucking many of them, and they're all different. So they all have different fighting styles. They all have different powers or different, you know, uses of their powers, I guess. And so they got to figure out a different way to kind of defeat all of them. I think that'd be kind of interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, things strike different people differently and whatnot. Yeah. I know that's mind blowing and very profound thought on my part, but
yeah, exactly.
What do we got here for some chats here? I'm more of a TMNT King, a brain. Professor Savage Edge saying the High Evolutionary was a better villain. Professor Savage Edge, I think even in the movies so far, without having a better and more actually villainous, I'm tired of needing to feel sympathetic towards the villain.
But that's how you understand who the villain is. Like the reason why Thanos was such a great villain was because you understood what he was trying to do. You understood that he was trying to it was resources for the universe, resources for planets, and that's the reason why his planet was doomed, was because there were too many people and there weren't. You're talking about open borders, and like and so so he was trying to do good in a very immoral, shitty way.
Right.
But you understood what he was doing. So I think having that connection and understanding why someone was doing it, and you understand the High Evolutionary was trying to like make a better, like he was trying to make something perfect, which nothing's perfect. So there's a flaw in that immediately, but you understand his plight, I guess.
Yeah, I think because I understand what you're saying. Like they want to make them, you know, more than just some one-dimensional, big bad, and whatnot. I think they would be served very well though in an upcoming movie, just to have a villain that is just one note, that is just like pure destruction and whatnot, because it would just vary it up. It would provide, you know, some spice, you know, something different. Because right. I mean, Thanos, like you said, he's very multi-layered, multifaceted, and they try to, you know, they just give you nuance and try to help you understand like what's his mindset, why is he doing what he's doing, so that way you don't I mean, you hate him, you know he's evil, but you're like, okay, I can see, like from a pragmatic standpoint, okay, not enough resources, he needs to get rid of half of the universe and whatnot. But like if every single villain is that way, you know, then it kind of gets monotonous and whatnot. But so that's why, like, hey, just every once in a while, throw in a villain where he's just like straight up like evil as fuck. You know, it's just, you know, before he kills somebody, he doesn't give like a monologue, right? He's just killing people, right? You know, so and that kind of thing. So it's kind of vary it up, mix it up. But
I mean, if you go through, like, I have a little thing, you know, where it's talking about all the, you know, I have a little thing talking about all the villains that have been from the MCU, and most of them have some sort of relatable something. You know, like, so Malekith from the Dark World, he's pretty much one of those. He's just a dick. Like, he's like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, he was the dark elf, dark lord, or the elf, you know, the dark elf.
Okay.
So,
dark hobbit.
He was pretty much just kind of a dick. So there's that character. But that I mean, that could have also been why Thor: The Dark World wasn't as great of a story as well.
Because I can't even remember that movie. Yeah, I mean, I remember it coming out, but I can't remember. I saw it, but I can't remember anything about that movie except for his mom dies in that one. I think Thor's mom dies. I think in that one.
Yeah, Thor's mom dies in that one. And Loki was because he was gone. He left after Avengers #1. And then he disappeared. Everyone thought he whatever. And so then he comes back and he's like kind of bad but good, but basically being Loki. Which Loki is another villain that he was a villain for the first phase 1 and 2.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, but he has that dichotomy of like good. You understand his plight and his character arc and all that.
Yeah, he was one of the great villains of the Infinity Saga right there. Because I remember his big first standout movie was the first Avengers, right? Where they unleash him and then they capture him and he gets captured on purpose and whatnot. And just that whole monologue he had with Black Widow, where he's like, your ledger is pretty red. Can you erase that much red? That whole thing. So that was his stand-up movie, and you guys were made to serve. You guys were made, that whole speech. So
So I mean, there was that, and then even Ronan the Accuser in Guardians 1, like he was obviously a dick, but he was also going to try and go after Thanos because Thanos wasn't allowing him to do what he wanted to or giving him the ability. So you can kind of like everyone hates their boss, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Except for me, if you're watching. Yeah.
And then, if you go back to Black Widow, I don't know if you watch Black Widow.
I did not watch that one. No.
Okay. If you watch that, Dreykov, he was like the main villain in that one. And he was the one who started the Black Widow program and like made all these Black Widows, basically put something into their brain where they could never kill him and, all that. And honestly,
COVID vaccine? That's what he put in there? COVID vaccine?
Yeah, basically. And no one can kill Fauci.
Can you run Pfizer and Black Widow?
So, I mean, there's that too. So there was an interesting concept of him just trying to make all these badass women. Aldrich Killian in Iron Man 3.
Oh, right. Yeah. Guy Pearce. Yeah.
Yeah. If you think about that one, like he even had like we feel bad for him a little bit because he was left on the top of a roof.
Right, he got dogged by Tony Stark. Yeah, exactly. On New Year's Eve. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was kind of a nerd too. And then Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2.
Yeah, he was hilarious. Yeah,
he was hilarious too. But he just kept getting dogged by Tony Stark too because Tony Stark got all the government contracts and got all this. So he was just like, like
that scene. Speaking of Justin Hammer, when Rhodey goes in there and they're about to basically it creates War Machine?
Yeah.
And then Justin Hammer's going through his whole sales spiel like, we got these bullets, we got these missiles, we got this shit, and his whole spiel like, if you want to knock down the broad side of a building, what that he was hilarious. Yeah.
It's like, I call this the ex-wife.
Exactly. That's the one. Oh God, I gotta watch that scene again because Sam Rockwell just killed it as Justin Hammer.
Yeah, I mean, and Dormammu in Doctor Strange.
Like the big god thing in the sky.
He was just kind of a dick again, which made that villain part. That movie was more about Doctor Strange's how he became Doctor Strange and that whole build up and all that. It was less about the main villain. I think what I mean.
Yeah.
So, I don't know that
because there was more Earthbound villains in that one because the guy who was the villain in Casino Royale, I always forget his name. He was like a bad guy. And then Chiwetel Ejiofor. I can't believe I pronounced his name right.
Caecilius is his name in Doctor Strange.
Okay, yeah. So, or Mads Mikkelsen. That's his name.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Mikkelsen.
He was a cool villain too because he if you go back through what that movie was about, like I forget exactly what her name is, the bald-headed chick.
Oh, the anointed one or the supreme being or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and so if you look at that, like she said all this time, don't mess with the dark arts, don't blah, blah, blah. But she messed with the dark arts. So he was kind of like going against her, like, bitch, you said not to do this, but you do it. So why can't I? So like, you can understand that.
Practice what you preach. Yeah,
exactly. Like, whatever. And then Ivan Vanko from Iron Man 2, fucking Whiplash.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Mickey Rourke. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at him, Tony Stark or Tony Stark's dad, basically took away Ivan Vanko's dad's plans. They basically turned him into, so there's that, again, there's that, you understand why
Robert Redford, the senator, and Captain America, Winter Soldier. So, yeah.
No, Robert Redford wasn't his dad. It was something Slattery.
Oh no, I mean so, but an example of another villain.
Oh yeah,
there's Robert Redford, or he was it was hidden that he was a villain, but then he turns out he was like the head of Hydra or something like that. So
yeah, exactly. And kind of the villain in that one was Winter Soldier too. They had kind of like that double villain going on.
Oh yeah, right, yeah, Bucky, yeah, right, exactly, yeah, because it was a mystery of the Winter Soldier. So
yeah, I mean, even if you go to Ant-Man, like Darren Cross or Yellow Jacket or whatever, he was shunned by Hank Pym.
Yeah, right, right.
So there's that again. Like you have to write like a villain in order to feel like, because then you feel like, oh, I understand why he's went off the fucking deep end.
Well, it goes back to that because even villains, nobody thinks that they're the bad guy. No one does. Everyone thinks they're the good guy in their own story, right? So even somebody like Darren Cross or Robert Redford's character, they don't think they're a bad guy. They don't think they're the villain. Like he doesn't think like I'm the evil leader of Hydra. No, he thinks like he's a good guy. And Captain America's the bad guy, so so it's like nuanced.
Helmut Zemo in fucking Civil War.
Civil War,
yeah. He started off because the Avengers killed his family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like again, he's going on that crusade of it's what is it? Fucking revenge. There we go.
Sure.
It's revenge.
Revenge, vendetta. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And at some point he realizes, but Obadiah Stone, fucking Killmonger in Iron Man 1, he was just a dick. Like he was, Tony Stark's dad's like best friend, and they were going into it together. And instead of going in with Tony Stark on that, he,
Trevor Schindler was the bad guy for everyone not on his list.
You guys know this is a Marvel thing, right? This is not real.
It's like Guardians of Auschwitz. Is that?
Yeah, or if you go back and you look at what's his face, Jude Law from Captain Marvel, he was just kind of a dick too, because he was just trying to control Captain Marvel and her powers and all that, and not being honest with her. So there's that.
Was it Hela from Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah,
it's probably the next one you're going to, but
but I mean Hela, if you think about that too, Hela was like, she was fucking shit up with her dad. And then her dad was like, I'm gonna be good now. Here, I'm gonna put you in hell. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you can understand, even though she was nuts, you can understand, fuck that. I'm gonna go get some revenge.
First you had me as Galadriel, and now you made me Hela. And you tell me to go hell away.
I mean, and honestly, if you go back through that too, in the comics, Hela was I think that her and Thanos were like a thing, or it was like Lady Death or something, like I don't know. It's been a while since I've kind of looked into that, but
shit, really? Okay.
Even
in the comics, I'm assuming.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that's why I read a lot of the comics. I didn't read all of them. Professor Savage Dad could, whatever. Probably school me on that one, which that's fine. But when I look at the what's it called, the MCU and the movies, I separate them as much as I can from the comics, because I know that they're their own properties.
Yeah, that's what I do. Because I don't, because I take the MCU movies individually. So if I don't, when I'm watching a movie, and it's not like you decide you think a movie sucks or not, right? Like when you think a movie is bad, it's not like I really think it's good, but I'm going to say it sucks, right? Or this movie really sucks, but I'm going to say it's good. Like people don't do that, right? You just have this natural reaction, unless you're a shill or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. But with that, I don't play into how good a movie is because it's part of the MCU. I take it, it's very transactional with me.
Yeah.
One MCU movie I could think is great, and the next one I could think is shit. But the one that I think is shit isn't going to get any credit because it's part of the MCU. So,
yeah, and I the thing with me too is I do, like I said, I do try and separate the comics from the actual, MCU version, whatever. But there are cool things from the comics that I do wish they did in the movies. Like, but then again, you because of the Fox rights and Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom, Silver Surfer, X-Men, like all these fucking cool characters that were very involved in the comics with all like Civil War involving the X-Men and everyone else in the comics was fucking crazy, dude. Like, so that Civil War time or series was nuts. If you go back and you watch it, like and if you don't have the comics, you don't want to spend the time doing all that, there's a bunch of YouTube videos. I think there's a channel called Comics Explained, and he reads through all the comics and reads through the storylines, so you can kind of get that's where a lot of the stuff that I did to kind of re-up my knowledge on the comics and do all that was kind of watch the videos and kind of get into that.
I think Nerd Cookies does that too. I know she does like Dune and Star Wars and all stuff, but I think she does comics too. And then I think Disparu does.
I haven't heard of it. Come out.
Yeah, Disparu and then Nerd Cookies. So I watch Nerd Cookies just for the Dune lore stuff, but I think he does comics as well.
So I mean, there are things like the House of M was a big comic when it came out, and it basically was Scarlet Witch, and it was a lot of what the WandaVision, like obviously WandaVision, had a lot of different concepts in it, but the fact that she you're probably going to watch it at some point, but do you care if I talk about it?
Which one?
WandaVision, the TV show.
Oh yeah, go ahead, talk about it. Yeah, spoil away.
All right, cool. So basically the whole point of it was, so it happened after Endgame. It took place right after Endgame. And what happened is because Vision died, right? Because she had to kill Vision because of the stone or whatever. And then Thanos ends up getting the fucking stone anyway. So like she was going through, again, you understand the struggle of it. You understand, just like with Star-Lord and Gamora and all that, you understand the struggle of why he acted the way he did. And so what happened with her is she freaked out because what happened is Vision had bought them a house in this town and said, we're going to run away. Because if you remember in Infinity War, they were just going to run off and not have anything to do with the Avengers.
Oh, yeah. They were like over in Europe by themselves or something. Yeah.
Yeah. They were like Scotland or some shit. Yeah. And so they were planning on leaving. And then that's when, the Thanos people came, and then Captain America was reintroduced, all that whole scene. And so they were planning on leaving. So what Vision did is bought them a house in this, complete small little town or whatever, so they could kind of just be them, be by themselves and not have to deal with shit. And then he died. So in his like effects or his, his, belongings or whatever they found at, Avengers HQ, like she goes and she finds a deed to a house. And so she goes to where that house was, and there was no house built. It was just land. So they were going to build it themselves. And so she fucking breaks down and like chaos, her chaos magic or chaos, whatever her powers are. And she just, it creates this whole bubble around this town. And that's where, how it was like based on every episode was like a different TV show, like an old school TV show or whatever.
Yeah, I saw like some of them look like black and white Leave It to Beaver episodes or something.
I Love Lucy, and then there was like a Full House episode, all this. Like the whole reason why that was is because when she was back with her parents, her and her parents, with Quicksilver and all them, they would watch all these old shows back in Sokovia. And so that was her way of like insulating herself and coping, right? And then and so that was kind of her way of, she was in this make-believe little town that she made up, and all these characters in the town were actually real people, but their mind was being controlled by Scarlet Witch. So she fabricated this whole thing. And then so you can understand why she did that, because it was her grief and all the stuff that happened with Vision. So you can understand a lot of the things that are going on in this. So like that's what but anyway, so the House of M basically in the comics was, she went through all this shit going on. I don't believe it was actually about Vision, but she went through a big traumatic thing and she freaked out, just like in WandaVision, how she created this whole town. She freaked out, and then she said, no more mutants. And in the comics, she got rid of all the mutants. So that was because she was so powerful that she could fucking do that. So me personally, I thought it would be really cool is if at the end of that, that's how the mutants were introduced into the MCU. So instead of no more mutants, she was like, let there be mutants or some shit like that.
Sure. Okay.
Because they got to figure out a way to fucking call them mutants, right?
Yeah. Now, would they, you're talking about X-Men mutants, right? So would this be like back in the 50s and 60s? Because if you watch like X-Men First Class, they make it sound like they were around. Well, sound like they were discovered in the late 60s or like the mid 60s during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah,
I'm assuming they were around for decades before that. So with your idea, would they show up that far back, or I guess that would be different lore, maybe.
I think it would be a different multiverse because with the multiverse now they're able to involve Deadpool or involve because like Spider-Man No Way Home, they had Green Goblin and Dr. Octopus and Sandman and Electro, all these different, and then they had the different Spider-Mans because they're from different universes or different, the multiverse or whatever. So that's kind of how they're involving the old. That's how they're kind of involving the old X-Men movies.
So
and all
that part of the that's one of the perks of the multiverse right there. That's one of the plus column for me with the multiverse is how you can have different iterations of the characters, like in Spider-Man No Way Home, getting Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire to show up there. So I like that part of it. Yeah, the villain thing, like again, that's in the minus column.
Big war or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Get them all together, and then they can reconcile some tragedies in their life. And like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man gets to save Zendaya,
MJ.
right? Yeah, MJ right there because he couldn't save whatever. Gwen Stacy, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So that I like that feature of multiverses, but the villain thing, that I'm not sold on the multiple iterations of the villain where you just got to keep fucking beat them and that kind of thing. But the multiple Spider-Man thing works. They're all pointing at each other.
Yeah, exactly. and I do like. And I do understand where there's just multiple iterations and whatever, but I if they make them different, different in some way, they have a little different powers, they have a different backstory of a different little bit, then it makes it a little bit cooler of like, oh shit, not
possible.
I don't have to just fight the same person 40 times. Mm-hmm. It's the same basic person, but it's like I have to figure out a new way, kind of like. So in Black Widow, I know you didn't see it, but one of the other villains in that one was Taskmaster. It's from the comics, and Taskmaster is basically a mostly a cyborg, but it learns the fighting style of the person that it's fighting as it's fighting it.
Oh, okay.
So you know what I mean. So it fights Captain America. It's going to learn Captain America stuff. Learn how to throw a shield and where their fights are. Iron Man. It's going to know when he's going to do the little blast. Whatever. So,
sure.
It would be with there being so many Kangs or so many different iterations of a villain, then you gotta learn how to fight this one and learn how to fight. You know what I mean?
Kind of like Neo in Matrix. I know Kung Fu because I just fought somebody with Kung Fu. Yeah, or knows Kung Fu. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Professor Savage, as you say, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are as well mutants. Yes, exactly. They are mutants, but in the MCU, they were introduced as
like experiments, weren't they?
Enhanced.
Yeah, by Nazis or something like that.
It was
or Russians or something.
Yeah, I think it was either Russians. It was Sokovians, I believe, because that's where it was from.
Yeah, because Thomas Kreitzman, he's the guy like the general or colonel or whatever that they have at one of the post-credit scenes where you first see Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and because Thomas Kreitzman's like exactly. Thomas Kreitzman was like a famous German actor that. One of those actors, if you saw him, be like, "Oh, that guy." Okay,
and he was in. It was Age of Ultron when that whole thing was going on, and they were saying enhanced in the field, like Captain America when they're fighting, they're like, "There's an enhanced in the field," like blah blah blah, whatever. Like they had to call them enhanced. They couldn't call them mutants.
Sure, right, yep.
I think the first time they said mutant in anything was in the Miss Marvel TV show.
Mm-hmm, sure,
because Miss Marvel is a mutant. So like they were like, oh, there was a mutation, there was a whatever, and that was the first time they were ever able to say mutation because they finally have the rights and they're starting to build out that that little story.
Oh, sure, right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who they get to play the Fantastic Four because I think that's like as topic of a lot of speculation right now. I mean, you get the bullshit ones like what was it Mila Kunis was going to be the Thing, which obviously was like just some joke.
Yeah,
there, but
well,
then you have John
I think it's
Krasinski.
kind of funny because she's Meg in Family Guy.
You're right, yeah. Shut up,
obviously
Meg.
would be the ugly character. I don't know. That's kind of funny.
Yeah,
But-
that's the tie-in. That makes sense right there. Yeah, or John Krasinski as well. He already played Reed Richards in the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Midness there. But yeah. But then the other ones, yeah. So I'll be interested to see what happens.
I like fucking Jim from The Office being Reed Richards. That was awesome. He was like the fan cast, and they were trying to make it be him as Mr. Fantastic and his wife Emily Blunt. Real life, the Invisible Woman, which would be cool.
Yeah, that makes sense right there. So yep, and I heard like Margot Robbie maybe too, but Emily Blunt makes more sense because then it's kind of a cool thought. Like, hey, they're married in real life, and hey, they're married in this movie right here. So the Thing, I don't know, like who you get, like maybe I don't know, Randy Weinstein, the lead of the head of the teachers unions, Randy Weinstein or whatever, Randy Weingarten. Yeah, in real life, she looks like the Thing, doesn't she? Like the one that's always screaming, like, "We gotta keep schools closed. Everyone's gonna die. We send." And then she's the one that's now is like, "I was always in the lead for opening schools up right there." I think she could play the Thing. I mean, she's
it could just be E. Jean Carroll.
Yeah. Apparently, people think rape is sexy. So yeah.
No, I there was a joke that I was gonna make that I totally forgot about from the debate. I'm just gonna call it a debate. It wasn't a town hall. It was a fucking debate.
Right.
Was they had E. Jean Carroll's cat in Guardians of the Galaxy? They had Vagina, the little thing that was with Adam Warlock.
Is that the one that scratched Nick Fury's eye or something?
No, yeah. That was from Captain Marvel. But no, in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, they had that little cat thing or whatever. Remember that was with Adam Warlock?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's right. You had the big mouth and all that, the fuzzy. Yeah, right.
It was Vagina.
Vagina. Yeah. I like how Donald Trump said, Vagina.
He said it so fucking weird. But any Star Wars fans in here watching right now, to me, that cat that was in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 looked like a Loth cat from the Star Wars Rebels show. Which made me laugh a little bit.
Yeah, I like Professor Dad's idea. Michael Chiklis from the original Fantastic Four. Yeah, I think there was 2 movies like back in the early 2000s or something. Michael Chiklis was the Thing, and then Jessica Alba, and then Chris Evans was what?
Dude, I think it would be hilarious if they bring Chris Evans back as the Human Torch from like another universe because they could do that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. He doesn't really make successful movies outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, without he was in Knives Out, but he was part of an ensemble.
Snowpiercer
Snowpiercer was the only movie that I will give him credit for that he was like the lead in that's actually good.
I didn't see that.
It's good. Yeah, you should definitely watch it. I'm going to not build it up too much because I hate when people do that. But I think after you watch it, you'll be like, man, you should have built that up more there, Vange. I would have watched it sooner. But yeah, it's out there. It's a great action movie. So,
well, hey, before the MCU and before any of the Marvel movies, he was in Not Another Teen Movie.
Yeah, exactly. He's the one that got the cops to show up. JD's got a gun.
Yeah, he has the whipped cream bikini on from
Varsity Blues. Yeah, his sister's always trying to fuck him.
Yeah, Varsity Blues. That is a gem of American cinema. I don't fucking care who says anything.
Oh yeah, I don't want your life.
I don't want your life.
James Vanderbeek trying to sound Texan.
You're the dumbest goddamn smart kid I know.
I was gonna say, isn't that the one with Faith Hill's husband that was in it? But that's Friday Night Lights. He was like the asshole dad, the football player. Yeah, the galaxy is on Orion's belt. I like the Men in Black call back there, Trevor. Yep. Sunshine.
You talking about fucking with the one with was it Denzel Washington was the football coach?
Oh, that was Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
So, but that's one of those movies where a lot of people love it, and I thought it was just like some cliche, sappy bullshit. So, but
I thought it was good. I didn't think it was amazing, but I thought it was overall good. The soundtrack was cool, and like the camaraderie between the football team was pretty cool.
Yeah. The one that I prefer over that is The Program with James Caan. It's like a college movie, a college football movie there that that took place back in the 90s and whatnot. So it's the movie that you may have heard of where they make the running back carry the football all over the college campus because he kept fumbling in the games.
That concept, I just didn't know.
Yeah, and so he keeps having to carry the football, and then basically the coach tells everybody around the college campus, like, you have to knock the ball out of his hand. So he has to go to class. He has to go to sleep. He's got to have the football in his arm. He can't sleep. And then he tells Omar Epps, the guy, I can't remember who the guy who plays him is, but coach is like, and if you lose that football, you're going to wish you were never fucking born or something. But that's a good movie.
Professor Savage says, I thought this was a nerd stream. I'm out now. Let's talk about movies, dick. Like, sorry.
They're talking sports ball now. I'm out of here.
Exactly.
We'll stop talking sports ball now, Professor.
You know what? I'm sorry, but the best sports movie ever was Blue Chips. Nick Nolte and Shaq. Like, come on.
And Penny Hardaway.
Oh yeah.
Penny Hardaway. Yep. Yeah. So that was plays a basketball coach in that one. So movie rabbit holes. Let's go. Yeah.
Air Bud. Come on, dude. Air Bud. Angels in the outfield. Let's go.
God, yeah. The League of Their Own. Oh God, yes.
Yeah. Or Rookie of the Year. Come on, dude. When I was a kid, that movie was also
Angels on the Outfield. So yeah.
Rollerball,
yeah, all that good stuff. But I should put a button back on my Guardians of the Galaxy tag right there because I think to go way back. Like an
hour earlier.
right, exactly. So yeah, but that's how I roll here. That's how I roll. But I mean, the ending. I did like parts of the ending. I did like how Drax is now going to be a dad because he lost his daughter. So I did like that ending for him. I thought that made sense. Now he's going to be the father. That emptiness inside him is now going to be fulfilled because he's got now all these kids that he can be a dad to. So I like that ending.
You like character arcs? That's weird.
Oh, I like character arcs. Yeah, as long as they're not contrived and it's actually a good character arc. Because a character arc can't just be a character arc. It's got to be interesting, right? So
there's got to be a reason, like we were talking about with villains. You have to have a reason to have that happen.
Yeah, it's got to be captivating. It can't have a character arc where somebody's like, hey, I started out as a newspaper boy, and then I worked at McDonald's, and then I worked at a steak joint, and then now I'm back and I'm one newspaper boy. Like that's a character arc, but it's not very interesting, So yeah, exactly. But Mantis, that's the one I'm like, she goes off with those big obelisk or whatever those creatures are. I didn't get that one. She's trying to find herself. She's like pulling a from Game of Thrones.
What character? Sorry, you cut out there for a second.
Mantis.
Oh yeah.
Mantis. That one I didn't get. The ending for Peter, that one I get because that one makes sense. Like, okay, he should go back to his grandpa so his grandpa could feel good. Like, hey, my grandson's not dead. So that makes that a heartwarming one.
And he thought, and I thought it was an interesting take too because he said that humans die at like 50, like their lifespan is up to 50.
Sure, yeah,
because his mom died and then Tony Stark died and like all these humans had died around that age. So that's what he thought. He's like, oh no, my grandpa's dead. Like,
that was one of the funny lines that Mantis like, you're about to die. I'm not 50.
If you see Drax in the background, he's all I don't know if you caught that.
I didn't catch that one. No.
Yeah, Mantis is all, you're about to die? And he's like, I'm not 50. And then Drax like, you gonna die.
Hey, well, that I'm glad you mentioned because Drax, to me, like I said in my spoiler-free review, he was like the comedy MVP in this because I did like that scene where it's like metaphor, analogy. Because he was on a roll because Mantis gave him that speech, that monologue to give to Peter.
Yeah,
and then he started riffing. And then
that though, like in Infinity War or Endgame or whatever, when he's sitting there eating the little Zag nuts or whatever.
Oh yeah, right.
He's like, go slow, my motion. You can't tell anything.
It's like, well, and the Zarg nuts come back in the Christmas special. Yeah, and then the Zarg nuts come back in Guardians or the Volume 3 there as well. So
or she's like, what if I wanted a Zarg nut? And he's like, there aren't any more.
And he starts eating them. So yeah, it's like that great comment. And then he's calling all the little kids morons. Hi, morons.
But he loves them.
He loves them, but he's saying it affectionately, right? So yeah. I can't remember who else. Well, then they had the other Guardians go off and create the new version of the Guardians.
Yeah.
With Warlock and Rocket, and who else is in there?
It was Warlock, Rocket, Groot.
That furry little creature thing you mentioned earlier.
The Loth Cat.
Yeah. Oh, and then Kraglin.
And Kraglin or movies. And and then the chick, the daughter.
The little
blonde chick. The little blonde chick. Do you remember that at all?
No.
Yeah, she was she had like one eye that was like blue. No.
Oh, no. Oh. She was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe you, but yeah, it's would be beyond me to forget something. So yeah.
Yeah.
My wife and I affectionately call our children assholes, but they are boys that I sired. That are sired. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, me and my wife call each other turds. Like that's,
Right. So you guys couldn't get a job on Hallmark. Like, when you're here to send your asshole the very best.
Yes, Professor Savage Dad, that is probably the girl Quasar. That's probably what her character is. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So we got beer drinking Trev, movie, rabbit holes. Let's go. Murder Ball. Yeah, I just know Moneyball, but I'm sure there was a Murder Ball. Yep. Oh, Murder Ball. Yeah, that was a documentary. That's right, where they're all in the wheelchairs.
Yeah.
That's right. And then you had knocked up like Jonah Hills and they're in the wheelchair. They're like, let's murder ball each other. Murder ball.
Yeah.
He hated to be in the hospital because he's like, I hate being in the hospital. It's like dead people around there. What if I go by a closet and then the closet door opens up and all these dead bodies like pour out of the closet?
Cosmo, the space dog.
Right. Cosmo. That's right. Yeah.
Cosmo was kind of cool. I liked Cosmo.
Yeah. Like, you take that back. I'm not a bad dog.
Okay. I liked that that running joke throughout the movie was hilarious. And at the end, Kraglin like, good dog. I was like, all right. That's
right. Well, because it makes sense because that's the mentality of a dog, right? So yeah, so you still have, even though the dog can talk, you still have to have the mentality of a dog. Like in Up, right? The dog keeps on squirrel, like it's still, even though it can talk, it's still a dog.
That's inside joke with me and Jen too. Like we used to do that with our dog Gonzo before he passed, and now we do it. It's a squirrel moment whenever we're in the middle of talking about something.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just like the hour of talking about other movies and whatever. That was a squirrel moment. We just here we go.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So, but I think that buttons up the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 review for me. I mean, again, like I said, I think it's the best Marvel movie since Endgame. But to me, like all the other movies were kind of like subpar, so it didn't really have that much to go up against, except for Spider-Man. No Way Home. I want him to get better though. What's that?
Yeah, No Way Home was great.
Yeah, exactly.
Quantumania, I didn't have that big of a problem with. Like, it was good, but I mean, it could have been better, obviously. But I didn't.
Yeah, to me, it was like just constant Christmas lights, like coming at you. Like just like, oh my god, okay, they're in this. Because I think like that's another part of Marvel Cinematic Universe, and not just Marvel, but like just the inundation of CGI filled movies. Ever since like Jurassic Park, because remember when Jurassic Park created a new CGI technology, ever since '93 when that came out, it's just been CGI, and then of course Marvel and DC take it to the whole new level. So I think that's a component of it to me where I'm like, the movie could be great.
Yeah,
but if it's so much CGI, I'm like, ugh.
I don't know why they just didn't, cast like thousands of aliens. Like they could have done that, right?
Sure, yeah, illegal aliens.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying. Everything is CGI. I do that. I do think that they do it the best out of any like CGI, project.
Oh yeah. They had a lot of practice and whatnot. So I mean, it's like, so I think it's imaginative stuff. I mean, they have to like the visual effects artists have to keep coming up with new and inventive stuff. I think the Guardians movies are a showcase for some of their most inventive visual effects. Things like like Nowhere is a perfect example. Like, it's the head of a celestial being that they've colonized. When like that's a cool visual effect, thing that they came up with. So, but they got to keep outdoing themselves and whatnot. But that I find if I've watched multiple Marvel movies, then I have to watch a movie that has practical effects or has no special effects whatsoever. Like, okay, I've just watched 8 Marvel movies. I need to go watch Field of Dreams, so.
Yeah, exactly. And, and real quick too, you bring up the head of the Celestial with Nowhere and all that stuff. How I was saying that every movie, even though it might be bad, does have tie-ins. The Eternals. One of the big bads in the Eternals was a Celestial. So
sure.
like that, so then nowhere is the head of a celestial that was obviously killed at some point.
Sure.
And this is what the actual celestial were. They're these huge fucking, beings and,
Sure.
whatever. And basically the Eternals was what happens is the celestials create an Earth to mine it for resources and, and all that stuff and build the energy so basically every planet that is built is building a celestial inside of it. And so when the celestial, it's time for it to be born, then the planet is destroyed in order to birth a new celestial. So what the Eternals are is they're basically like AI. So all the Eternals, like the 9 or 10 of them, are AI, and they basically keep the Earth from destroying itself throughout this time so the celestial can be birthed. So I thought that was a really cool concept. Again, Eternals was a shit movie, but I thought it was a cool concept, and it ties in the celestials and that whole, story.
Right. Unfortunately, with that, you have to explain that to like people. And I know I think in the movie they did, right?
Yeah.
Then they do like a whole preamble to the movie where they explain what that was and something like that. So
they explained where the Eternals came from, but they didn't explain why, the reasoning of why they did that. And then about the end of the second act, or like the beginning of the third act, then they start Erishim, I think was the celestial's name. Then the celestial comes clean to one of the Eternals because the Eternals figures out like, how the fuck did this happen? Like I don't remember this, like blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, you're just an AI. You've been remade, and your memory is wiped over and over and over again. And you've made all these planets because those planets build the energy for this new celestial.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not to go down another rabbit hole, hashtag beer drinking Trev. But so with, wasn't it revealed in Loki that Kang knew about everything that happened in the Infinity Saga?
Yes.
And so he could have he could have wiped it out, or he could have prevented it, or what?
He knew of everything that went on, but because that was the only timeline that didn't end up in complete chaos and just erasing basically the whole universe, that it had to happen. Kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Gotcha. Kind of like in Infinity War when Doctor Strange goes through the 14,600,000 whatever, endings or, ways of trying to kill Thanos. This was the one where Tony Stark dies. That's the one that works out to where, the best outcome.
Right. Yeah, the one where he's like, you're not going to like the outcome or something like that. He says something to Tony, like, you're not going to like it, or so
he says, if I tell you, then it won't happen.
Oh, sure. Right.
He's standing there and you see his hand like shaking and he's all one.
Right. Yeah. So that was another good line from Avengers Endgame right there. But how you doing on time?
I'm good, man. As long as you need to go. When it comes to Marvel and Star Wars and all that, I'll talk all fucking night. I don't.
Fuck yeah, me too. I'm good. So, but I was just gonna bust out into a little brew review time here. So I'll fire it up here. So you can. Yep, I got it right. I literally have my mouse click right on it. So yep. So, all right, let's do it. I'm thirsty. All right. So yes, we've got our Saigon export right here. So that is the beer for this week. If you guys can all see that, okay. And we see the word Saigon, and no, it's not Saigon Kick, the band from the 80s. Okay, there's no Love Will Find a Way or whatever. What was that? Love is remember that song from Saigon Kick? It's like,
no.
Love will find a way. I keep thinking of every other song that has the word love in it. Love is a battlefield. Love will find.
I will.
Love is on the way. That's what it is.
Love
is on the way. Okay, I'm gonna spare you guys. Okay. So I'm not
that drunk yet.
Exactly. No, man, no, stop it. You have the power to save lives by not singing. But yeah, so Saigon export. It's out of Vietnam. This is an American adjunct lager. It's pretty good. It's like a good crisp brew. I would definitely recommend it. Again, not getting any money from Saigon or anything like that. So I don't know what's their money there. It's not American. Maybe it is American dollars. I don't know.
It's not yen.
Yeah, it's not won either, or when, or however you say that. So it's American dollars. I don't know. So yeah, it's not monopoly money.
That's Japanese yen. There we go.
Oh, it's yen?
It's the Japanese yen. Yes.
Oh, shit. I do have, okay, I have a box of yen that I kept from my stint being stationed over in Japan. I probably got a good 30 cents in American dollars in yen there, but it's a big old pile of yen.
Yeah, but you could probably buy a mansion over there.
Yeah, I probably could. Yeah. Be like Euro trip. They got like 33 cents, but they could stay in a luxury hotel.
Exactly.
Hold
on. Professor Savage Dad said Vietnamese money is called dong.
I got news for you. That means you're gay.
It's like, so when your portfolio is good, do you call it my dong is strong?
Schlong COVID.
Or dong COVID. Oh my god, that's yeah. Top marks there, man. Hell yeah, I love it. You made it with your sister. Yeah, there's Euro trip. There you go. Yeah,
Euro trip.
Exactly. I liked all those iterations of the song. Like what's that? Johnny doesn't know or something like that.
Doesn't know.
Scotty doesn't know. They're like, hey, there's a techno. But anyway, where was I? Yeah, so I think we're in the middle of some kind of segment, right? So yeah, so brew review time. So yeah, check it out. So Saigon exports out of Saigon, of course, right there. Okay, so it's pretty tasty. You're probably not going to find it in your Kroger, or you guys have Ralph's out there, don't you?
Yeah, we got
Ralph's. Yeah, the Walmart and all that stuff. All I remember from Ralph's is like walking through the parking lot when I go visit my sister and brother out in LA, and it just reeks of weed. But then everywhere reeks of weed out there. So
California.
Yeah, I love it. I'm getting a contact eye just saying that. So all right. So yeah, that has been brew review time.
Hey, are you gonna take a drink?
Oh, you know what? Actually, I can't because I'm totally empty.
Oh.
I was gonna fake you guys out like, oh, this is so delicious. But it's just air. So, yeah, but it's not really brew review time. Yes, exactly. Game over. All right. This is not the castle. The princess is not here.
Exactly. All right,
let's do it.
Oh.
What the hell is? Did you do it too?
Yeah, I did.
We crossed the streams. Don't do it. Did you do it again? Dude, I know you're trying to take out Zool, but we can't cross the streams. Like, I love that. Yeah, Ray's like, cross the streams.
You know what? I'm just trying to do the producer thing because if anyone doesn't know watching this, I'm usually in the background doing the producing, but movies has become his own. I'm letting him. I'm dropping him out of the nest.
It's like he doesn't feed me my own worms anymore. I go get my own worms right there. So.
When I drop him off at school, I have to drop him off a block away from school so friends don't see him.
Right. Dad, you can't drop me off at school. They're going to see your gay car. What the hell?
Hey, when my mom used to drop me off at high school, when she did, I'd have her drop me off way like at the park away from the school.
Oh, yeah.
Walk up by myself, of course, because you got to be the cool kid that walks to school, right?
Yeah. You don't want everybody to know that you're poor and your dad doesn't make very much dong.
Yeah, and it totally wasn't because I wanted to meet all my, punk friends in the parking lot and smoke cigarettes before going into school. It totally wasn't that reason.
Not at all. I can't even fathom that even being a reason right there. So no, not at all. So, but I think I'm going to break it up with another segment here. So I introduced this a couple weeks ago, the movie military moments. Okay. And so I've got another one of those. So I am going to rock and roll with that. But we have to do it. We have to have some music here. But let me know if it's too loud, okay? So, but because it'd be boring if I just read this Medal of Honor citation, and it probably would help if I explain what it is. So, to all those folks that don't know, so the military means a lot to me, and when someone gets a Medal of Honor or Purple Cross or Navy Cross or whatever, I respect that, right? I think that's very, very cool. They're sacrificing for our country, and so I want to do a thing where what they did to earn that Medal of Honor is so cool that you could picture it being a scene in a war movie, right? That would just make your eyes pop out of your head. Mm-hmm. So a movie military moment, right? And so that is the backstory to what I'm about to go through right here. So I'm just going to read someone's Medal of Honor citation, and we've got some music for that. Let's do it. All right.
Maybe a little.
Is that a little loud?
I got it.
Yep, Mr. Producer. Yeah, you can adjust that right there. So, because I can't multitask.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. So this week's Medal of Honor winner is Dwight W. Birdwell from the Vietnam War. Okay. So we have Specialist 5 Dwight W. Birdwell distinguished himself by acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty while serving with C Troop 3rd Squadron, 4th Cavalry, 25th Infantry Division in the Republic of Vietnam on 31 January 1968. On this date, C Troop was ordered to move south to help repel an enemy attack on, I'm not even going to pronounce that airbase name, as the C Troop column of tanks and armored personnel carriers approached the west gate of that airbase name. It came under intense enemy fire from a building to its right. Unbeknown to C Troop, it had driven directly into an enemy force consisting of 3 battalions. The column tried to push through the initial attack, but the lead tank, crippled by a rocket-propelled grenade RPG for everyone playing at home, it was blocking the way forward. So C Troop immediately came under heavy enemy fire from both sides of the road. Specialist 5 Birdwell, upon seeing that his tank commander was wounded by enemy fire, immediately went to his aid. Under intense enemy fire, he lowered the injured tank commander to the ground and moved him to safety. Specialist 5 Birdwell then, with complete disregard for his own safety, mounted the tank and assumed the tank commander's position, standing in the tank commander's hatch with the upper half of his body exposed to heavy enemy fire. Specialist Birdwell used the tank's 50 caliber machine gun, something that makes a lot of noise, and 90 millimeter main gun to suppress the enemy attack. With the ammunition for the 90 millimeter main gun exhausted, he continued to fire the 50 cal until it overheated. At this point, Specialist Birdwell, rather than abandoning his position like some coward, continued to engage the enemy with his M16 rifle, which doesn't have a whole lot of rounds, sometimes exposing his entire body to enemy fire in order to engage the enemy from a better vantage point. When a U.S. helicopter crashed nearby, it's not going good, Specialist Birdwell, under withering enemy fire, dismounted and moved to the helicopter, where he retrieved 2 M60 machine guns, which are badass, and ammunition. After giving 1 M60 and ammunition to a fellow soldier, he remounted his tank and used the other M60 to again engage the enemy. This is a full day, everybody. Specialist Birdwell continued to engage the enemy with complete disregard for his own safety until the M60 he was firing was hit by enemy fire. Oh, no. Specialist Birdwell, now wounded in the face, neck, chest, and arms, dismounted the tank but refused to be medically evacuated. No, he's like, I got ass to kick, all right? Instead, Specialist Birdwell, under enemy fire, rallied fellow soldiers, come with me, motherfuckers, to advance towards the front of the armored column, where they set up a defensive position by a large tree. From this position, he and the other soldiers engaged the enemy with M16 fire grenades. As the enemy fire lessened, Specialist Birdwell gathered ammunition from disabled vehicles and helped wounded soldiers move to safer positions. His leadership and tenacity under fire inspired the other C Troop soldiers to continue fighting against the superior enemy force and directly contributed to the enemy's ultimate defeat. Specialist Birdwell's extraordinary heroism and selflessness above and beyond the call of duty were in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, his unit, and the United States Army. Yes.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Yes. Oh, yes. So again, as I always say, what have you done with your day? Okay.
Exactly.
So a shout out to Specialist Birdwell right there. So that would be a very expensive scene, I would think. Maybe M60s, 2 M60s. Well, maybe not so expensive. So because it'd just be guns.
Yeah. Am I an asshole? Because that's obviously awesome. But while you were reading your thing, I heard like Taint Commander. So add for the next 2 minutes of you reading things. I was just
Taint Commander. So it was like that was a porno that was playing in the background. Someone's watching a porno in the tank. So he got into the tank. Tank Commander, are you watching Taint Commander?
He's just sitting up there with his legs up, like, hey.
Yeah, I got my own M60 right here in my hand. I'm firing rounds. Watch it. Oh, I got some in my eye. Ah!
Command of the Taint.
Taint Commander. Sounds like an 80s video game.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, I ran out of quarters. I want to play another round of Taint Commander.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Okay, Professor Savage Dad, you said you're memeing the man bun. Don't be mad because I can grow hair. Don't be mad.
Oh yeah, there you go. Exactly. Yeah, it's like it's a jealousy does not become you, right? So
Exactly. It doesn't look good on you.
fake it for the camera, a little movie magic. Professor Savage crossing the streams either defeats Zool or makes you gay.
It's like the scourge of cartoons.
Yeah. That was in the deleted scenes from Ghostbusters. They said it does make you gay. Okay, so and then want to fuck the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man right up his marshmallow butt. Oh right. Oh yes, exactly. So
I see you have something down here in the
let's I was gonna go to that right there next. Absolutely. So let's share that. So this is hey, no sports ball. Oh, you nerds. All right. This is not sports ball. This is nerd shit. Okay, so all right, let's get into the top 10 Guardians of the Galaxy moments. Are you ready?
PowerPoint moment. Like The Office.
PowerPoint there. Yeah, moment number 10, Taint Commander. No.
or like in Guardians 2 where he said fucking where's Taser Face?
Taser Face.
I'm sorry, that whole fucking sequence.
I love it. What was a runner-up? Scrotum Face or something?
You don't even have tasers coming out of your face. It breeds fear in the hearts of men. Like, oh yeah.
It's like I love it. Like everyone's like trying not to laugh. What was your second choice? Scrotum ears or something like that. And everyone's like bust out laughing. Ah!
and they're like agreeing with him at first, and then as Rocka's still messing with him, they're like, we haven't thought about it that way.
Yeah, right. It's hilarious. Yeah.
A gay fucking name.
They're just trying to stifle their laughter. Yep. So we're going down, starting out from moment number 10 down to moment number 1. All right. We're doing a little.
All three of them.
This is all. Yep. This is the whole Guardians of the Galaxy universe right here. Exactly. Including maybe the Christmas special. Maybe not. Okay. You never know. So, yeah. But moment number 10 is when in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, when we see Groot here, and he's trying to impress the group, so he basically takes all these bad dudes, and he smashes them against the walls. Like, so awesome. Then he looks back and he's all smiling. Hey, look what I just did. I am Groot. Yes. Yeah, I just kicked all these guys' asses. So, do I have your approval? That just made me laugh. I was like,
that was great. And I'm sorry, the casting on making Vin Diesel Groot because he only says one thing, which makes him kind of a dumbass. That made me laugh so hard because Vin Diesel.
Oh, right, exactly. It just fits, with him, his acting ability.
Yeah. How many I Am Groots it's for family.
Right, exactly. It's like, I'm surprised they didn't have I am family the whole time. I am familiar.
What at the very end of part 3 when we understand what he's saying or he said something different. If they should have made I'll do anything for family. Like that, they did that, it would have been like,
oh yeah,
dude,
we're not friends, we're family.
It's James Gunn, so he could have gotten away with doing some cheeky fucking. That would have been great.
And then add a punch it in there for good measure because they're always saying punch it and all the Furies. Punch it. It's like
I miss Paul Walker. Damn.
Exactly. Oh man, yeah, you just made it sad. Like. Well, that's a line from what the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now you just made it sad.
Yeah.
It would just kill one guy who nobody likes. So that is moment number 10. All right, moving up to moment number 9. Yeah, here's from the Christmas special. This is when we've got Drax and Mantis. I forgot their names there for a second. Yeah. They go to Earth and they kidnap Kevin Bacon as a Christmas present for Peter because he kept talking about Kevin Bacon and Footloose.
Yeah. If only Star-Lord would know what Kevin Bacon is trying to push with, the trans
stuff
now.
Yes. He wouldn't think he's cool, Yeah, you'd be like, you're just like that. You're just like those lame people who didn't want to dance, or or something like that, But or when I thought that you wanted to save dance, I didn't think you were talking about that kind of dancing. Like now I'm going to side with John Lithgow if that's the kind of dancing that you want to allow in this town. So
be the Trinity killer up in this bitch.
Yeah, exactly. I'm siding with all the prudes if all you want is dudes shaking their dick and balls in front of kids. Like screw that.
Women shaking their dick and balls too. Okay.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna get with the time. There you go. I'm forgetting inclusivity here. So yeah.
How dare you?
Exactly. Oh my god. Now I gotta go. Yeah, say like 7 woke Hail Marys and 4 woke Our Fathers. So yes, bless you, my son.
Breasticles, testicles, wallet, and watch.
What is that from? What is that?
I think
a Kevin Smith movie.
I know in Austin Powers he said spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch.
Oh, sure. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I knew it came from a movie. So, but yeah. Okay, so that's it. So that is moment number 9 from the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special.
Yeah.
Moment number 8. This is when in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, when they keep telling Rocket, we got to go save Peter. Okay, he got captured by the Ravagers. Yeah, and Rocket doesn't want to go. But he's getting pissed off. It's like they're convincing him to go save Peter.
Yeah,
he's like, "You're making me beat up grass." he's kicking the grass clump there at the bottom. It's one of the great lines from Rocket.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to is number 7, I believe. From Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the corridor battle.
That fucking whole scene was awesome.
Yeah, it was badass.
Sliced up that last one when she slices him in half and his body's all.
No, yeah, exactly. And then when Groot sticks his branches right through the guy's throats and and it's nonstop action because they don't have one of the Guardians just stand there and wait to fight, or another one bad guy waiting. Hey, it's not our turn. It's Peter Quill. He's beating that guy. Oh, they're done now. Now we can start fighting. It's not like that. It's just continuous.
Was it a one shot?
It was a fake one shot. I've learned they did cut it there, but nowadays they make
pass through in front of the camera.
Yeah, you don't see any of the characters for a brief second, and then they just cut through there. Yeah. So but it looks like a one cut. To the uninitiated, you'd think, oh, that's so badass. But even in movies like 1917, that World War I movie where it's billed as one take, it's not one take. So, but
that'd be a little ridiculous if it was a 2-hour movie that was a one take.
One take, yeah, exactly. These filmmakers are talented, but they're not miracle workers. Yeah. So, all right.
What if one of the extras fell funny, in The Departed when Jack Nicholson shoots she fell funny.
Yeah, right. Francis, you need some help. Exactly. Moment number 6, I believe. All right, so because I can't count. From Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, when Rocket is fucking around with the Ravagers. And he's got that suspension device, and then they land, and then he's got the electrocution thing where he's electrocuting them.
Yeah. Which is cool too, because I don't know if you've been to Disneyland since they made the Guardians of the Galaxy ride or anything.
I haven't. No.
Yeah, so they in California Adventure out here, and I know they have it out in Hollywood Studios in Disney World, but they have the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. It's called Mission Breakout or something like that, and it used to be the old Twilight Zone, the Tower of Terror. Did you ever go on that?
Tower of Terror I went on way back in the day. Yep.
Yeah, so they revamped that and made it Guardians. So basically, the whole premise of that ride is they're all imprisoned, kind of like the first movie, and then Rocket breaks out and redoes all the wiring in order for them to get out. We as the people riding the ride have to distract, and so it's the elevator ride or whatever. So this scene reminded me of the.
Yeah,
up and down.
Because he gets all the little robot things with the propulsion, and then he hooks it to the chamber that they're all in, the bulletproof chamber. Yeah, but then they take that to escape the prison. Yeah, so it's like that. Okay,
yeah, it's a pretty cool ride.
Yeah, and now did he need the leg?
No, but it's a cool. It has a cool soundtrack too. I think there's Michael Jackson's "I Want You Back." There's Elvis Presley's Something Love. I forget exactly what it is.
Fools. Why do fools fall in? Or
No, it's more of like a it's something bad or something. I don't know. I forget exactly which one it is. And then there's a couple other like kind of funky, like songs or whatever. But no, it's the soundtracks.
Oh yeah,
Galaxy.
Yeah. They're James Gunn soundtrack for these movies are always on point. So yeah. Number 5, I believe. So this is Rocket, and this is in the very first one again, where the big creature comes up to Peter Quill. It's like, oh man, you're gonna be my little bitch, and then Groot sticks his branches up the guy's nose, and Rocket goes on his monologue. Awesome. I love that. It's like you want him, you got to go through us.
Yeah.
And more to the point, to be more accurate, we go through you. So that.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was a badass moment right there. Then they walk off, and Peter Quill's like, "Yeah, I'm with them. I'm with them." I love that moment. So,
that was fucking great. And Groot in that movie was awesome when they're like doing. I don't know if this is going to be one of the scenes, but when they're talking about breaking out, like we got to do it in this process and this and blah blah blah, and then Groot just goes over and just
goes up there. And just, boop. Yeah, it's like, but you definitely got to do that last, or we can do it right now and improvise. I think this is moment number 4, maybe. No, probably 3. Yeah, so 8, 9, 10. Yeah, there you go. I had to count. There you go. I'm not so good at math. So Yondu taking out everybody with his arrow, all the Ravagers. When Groot gets them free, I think it's Groot that frees them.
Yeah,
and little baby Groot. So, and then I think I can't remember what the song is that's playing during this, but I thought this was a badass scene where his arrows just flying all over the place. And
that's where they're doing the up and down stuff, right?
I think in this one, I think at some point, I think the gravity goes or something like that. So, and then or they're
isn't there a cool ass song during that point too?
Yeah, it's get a little closer or something, or
and I'm trying to look it up. I'm trying to do some Guardians of the Galaxy song.
Come and get closer.
So volume 2 song during Yondu. What would you explain that as?
Yondu arrow, Yondu killing Ravagers. I think I had it written down here. Let's see here. What is that? So you're gonna find it right at the same time. Come a little bit closer. But I can't remember.
I
can't remember how it goes though. But I'm not singing it. So so you guys are fine. come a little bit closer. Yeah. That doesn't really mean much for that one. Yeah, but
exactly.
Yeah, but it fits the scene perfectly. So James Gunn is, he's one of the experts at picking the right music for the right scene right there, so I mean there's some movies where they're just like, we're just gonna throw like this 70s hit during this scene. Doesn't really fit it, but that's what movies are doing nowadays. Suicide Squad did that in some spots. So
but it was all right. The Suicide Squad was great. Suicide Squad was
oh god, yeah. There's talk about a night and day difference between two movies right there. I mean, the Suicide Squad, I love it. That was like my very first review.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was
yeah.
So I found the Mission Breakout, the Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Disneyland. I found the track list. So it's Hit Me With Your Best Shot, Pat Benatar, Burning Love. That's
Elvis. Okay,
Elvis one. Free Ride.
Burn. Oh yeah, Free Ride. Yeah. Okay.
And then I Want You Back by Jackson 5.
Oh yeah.
Born to Be Wild.
Steppenwolf.
Yeah, and then Give Up the Funk. We need the funk.
Oh, is it Cherry?
It's Parliament.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
George Clinton in Parliament. Okay.
Yeah, but it's cool that so you get a different song within every experience when you ride that ride. So you can go on and you know what I mean? It has a different kind of. So I think it's a cool experience.
Yeah, and then the younger generation gets to discover that music right there. So it's like
that's one of the things that I do like about Guardians and their soundtrack is they're introducing newer like kids to fucking good music instead of trap and mumble rap.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, so because I don't think there's really any rap in there. I mean, the closest to that is the classic R&B stuff, but that's actually good music, right? You know, so
exactly. It's like they wrote it themselves instead of copied it from other fucking people.
Yeah, and they actually don't need a studio to sound good. You could listen to them sing on the street corner, and they sound great. Yeah,
they don't have a DJ that taking parts out. They actually have musicians playing.
Yeah, it's not T-Pain, you know.
Speaking of T-Pain, T-Pain is actually a really good vocalist. He doesn't need the auto tune. He used auto tune as a gimmick. Like if you listen to T-Pain actually sing without it surprised the fuck out of me.
Oh, isn't he a preacher's kid too? Like he sang in church back in the day or something? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I respect him. I respected him because he took that whole thing and like made it a big, like now everyone uses it and it's fucking annoying. But I respected him that he did something unique with it. But I respect him even more now that he can sing, but he knew it was going to be a gimmick. So it was kind of like I'm going to use this and I'm going to make money from it because it's so different. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but he's got a gift from God. You know, he shouldn't cover up with autotune. So yeah, maybe now he uses his natural voice. I don't know. So, okay. So moving on to number 9 on the charts with a bullet. All right. Yes, we've got Rocket. I was just kidding her about the leg. I just need these 2 things.
Yeah. You actually gave me his
what was it? What was the look on his face? What did you do?
I gave him all these credits for her, you know, like whatever. It's fucking great.
I just needed these 2 things right here. So yeah. So well, I like how in in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, like or maybe it's later in Volume 1. Where it's like, okay, he's trying to put something else together. It's like, I need this circuit board, and I need this transistor in that guy's eye.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, then get me an avocado, an ice pick, and my snorkel.
Yeah, we would not be doing anyone a service. We'd be doing a disservice if we didn't have it half baked.
Yeah, exactly. And I put that on there because it's a really funny thing, but I've never been able to use it.
Right, exactly. Well, I'm glad I could, produce a situation where he could use that right there. So yeah, or rather, Rocket. So yeah.
We might disagree, but we still are on the same wavelength.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So the world beware, we are still in sync.
Yes.
In some cases, yes. And then number 1 at the tippy top of the charts, I believe, is Groot sacrificing himself to save his beloved Guardians when Ronin's ship is about to crash into Nova Prime, right there. So the ultimate sacrifice. So
I thought that was a really cool scene, and you're obviously doing just the Guardians movies, not anything with the Guardians in them. Because
not everything, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not like Avengers Endgame or Infinity.
That scene in Infinity War when Rocket like grabs onto Groot and Groot like fades away because he gets dusted. Oh, dude, that scene.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's like because Rocket and Groot, like Groot is like his little dude. You know what I mean? His dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's a simple thing, but I do like in Avengers Endgame where what's his face? Paul Rudd is sitting there just eating a sandwich or something like that, and then Nebula gets off the ship. It's like, be warned, there's idiots sitting around or something like that. Or
there's idiots on the patio.
Idiots on the patio. Yeah, exactly. She just walks around. She just fucking just disses him and like keeps walking, So yeah.
Yeah, and his tacos get all like blown away, and then
that's what it is. Tacos, yeah.
Just like, here you go.
I fucking love it. Yeah,
so great.
Yeah. So Scott,
there was something cool that I thought was interesting about the end of part 3 was how they had Drax dance. Because throughout all the movies, he was saying there are people that dance and there are people that don't dance. And there's like that separation of 2 kinds of people or whatever. Yeah. And like even throughout the movies, like even when it was baby Groot and he was like still in his little planter and he's like at the end of the movie doing his little dance thing or whatever. And every time, Drax would turn around and be like,
that's right. Yeah. Right.
Doesn't want to get caught.
Right. Yeah. It's like I like that. Yeah, because then we remember what the end credit scene at the end of the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, and the little baby Groot's dancing around. And
there's a cool concept that like I told you, I was watching a bunch of Easter egg videos and like all that stuff, surrounding Guardians, and that's what I kind of do with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But So a lot of people were saying, like, because there's this Groot that you see on the screen right here, who was, and then the Groot that you see in Guardians 3, and I guess the Holiday Special 2, is like a different physiology. He's a little bit big and bulkier, and whatever, and all that. And I because I was kind of wondering that too. It's like, why the fuck did they change Groot? Like, that's just weird. But then what they were saying is that this Groot in Guardians 1 is kind of like the Groot's dad, because those people, people that are the Groots, they're a certain type of people. So and their body or their physiology reacts to like photon, like photon something assists. I forget the exact thing, but it's related to the light that is brought into the thing. And so the reason why Groot is a lot bigger in the new ones is because he's been surrounded by Peter Quill and like more celestial beings. And so his physiology is affected by that. I thought that was kind of a cool little
because Peter Quill's half a god, so
exactly.
He's
and he's
like
surrounded
big
by
energy
him all the time. Exactly. So he feeds up that energy. I thought that was cool.
That's one thing. Like that's one thing I noticed in this one though. They didn't because when Peter was getting taught or tutored, by his dad, and Ego, and then the second one. And you see Peter Quill, he gets like the power in his eyes, and he learns how to do the beam, and that they're throwing a little laser ball at each other and shit. But there's like, we haven't really seen him use any of that since then.
He can't anymore.
Oh, he can't.
Well, that
because his dad's dead. Is that because?
That was one of the parts at the very end of Guardians 2 where he said, if you kill me, you will not be a god anymore.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because that's when he said you're going to be like just like them, or you're going to be like just like the mortals, or something like that.
And then Quill had some sort of quip or line having to do with that, like I know who I am, or like something kind of like that. I forget exactly what it was, but it was a good line.
I don't want to be like an asshole like you and Pete Buttigieg.
I think it was something like that. Like, but you're an asshole, or like something.
Right.
Real quick, I know this is the very end of it, but you brought up something about the MCU's first F word.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I thought like I didn't like how they previewed it like they did right there.
It's kind of a big deal though.
I just like it's almost like just let it be let it be cool. Like let it be like hey everybody, we got our first F-bomb in this movie. Like that's what I did. Like it would have been like had more impact. Well, and that's another thing. I think that it would have been have more of an impact if like Rocket said it to the high. I always keep forgetting his name. The High Evolutionary. Like fuck you, you killed Lila or something like that. I thought that would have been kind of cool, but it was like in this trivial kind of like open the fucking door. I
kind of thought it was funny being a little trivial, being to like Nebula, especially because Nebula is kind of a dick to everyone. So I thought it was kind of funny of Peter Quill going, open the fucking door, like dumbass. Like
I will give it,
smart. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I will give him this. It did come from out of nowhere. Well, I mean, if they hadn't previewed it, but maybe you would have never thought of it in that situation. If I would have if somebody put a gun to my head and maybe figure out like where would they put the first F-bomb in MCU history, it wouldn't be like scene where they're trying to get into a car and she's trying to open it. That would have been the last thing I would have ever guessed.
But at the same time, how many times have you said like stupid little lines like that to a friend or whatever when they're being a dumbass and you're like, open the fucking door? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I thought yes, it could have been cool if they didn't promote it. I understand why they did, but I think, and it would have been cool too. Like, oh fuck, like this is fucking crazy. Like, in that, but I like how it was just an offhanded, like, fucking door.
Yeah, they could have learned a thing or two from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, where they just have that one scene where it's F-bomb after F-bomb. It's like, I want my fucking car right fucking now. And it's like, I mean, I know that was a different age and they didn't have social media. And I'm sure John Hughes wasn't going to put out a tweet. Yeah, hey, everybody, we don't have any F-bombs in the rest of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, but this one scene at the rental car company, we've got this. So check it out. Like, you're
only allowed one in a PG-13, and it has to be after an hour in. I think that's what I was reading.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it has to be after an hour in. And then what do you want them to have Deb from fucking Dexter? Like there was literally a line where she said like fuck you, get the fuck away from me, you fucking fuck. Or like said something like, dude, okay, we get it, you're a potty mouth. Like calm down. Like,
we get it. You're trying to make her look edgy, right? Like she's so fucking edgy.
Yeah, exactly.
There, you know. So yeah. But yeah, so that would that's but and then the fact that I thought was kind of weird that they have Chris Pratt be the one that has the first F-bomb because he's the one who's always getting nailed for talking about being a Christian and whatnot. Yeah. So it's like, so I mean, but my philosophy was like going to church, like my philosophy is like, where in the Bible does it say you can't say fuck? And I know like a lot of people talk about like, I know a lot of people say, well, it's about being a good witness and your testimony and all that stuff.
Taking the Lord's name in vain. That's where
that part I get. Like, yeah, you shouldn't say, that part. Like, if someone said you can't say GD and you can't say that, I get because like you can't. But it's like fuck. It just means for unlawful carnal knowledge. I mean, it's like
funny backstory on that. So my stepdad is very Christian. Like, yeah, he can get along with everyone. There's no big deal. Like, whatever. He doesn't cuss. Like, I've heard him cuss once in my whole life, and it was when he had a couple of drinks and I was like 10 or something like that, and it was right when The Mask came out with Jim Carrey.
Oh, Jim Carrey,
yeah, and
early 90s.
So, yeah, and there was like a birthday party going on, you know, whatever, or it was like I was like 10 or 11, maybe a little older, but he grabbed me and like dipped me and said, "And tell Scotland I do give a damn." And that was it. That's the only time I've ever heard my stepdad cuss. And I was like, "What?" And like again, my mom, I think she said like fuck once and shit a couple of times, but I've like it's very not. But I'm a potty mouth, and like I try and curb it when I'm around them too. But they know me as the degenerate of the family, so
sure.
But I went over there and it was after, and because I've been wondering like why can't I say fuck? Like why can't I use these words? They're just words. They're just sounds that come out of your face. Like
right.
You know? And so. And I wanted to ask him, but after a couple of drinks, I was like, fuck it, I'm going to ask him. So we're sitting around the coffee table in my parents' house. And I just looked at my stepdad. I was like, hey, why can't I say fuck? And Jen's sitting right next to me. And she just looked at me like.
the slow head turn.
Like, shut up.
Yeah, right. You're gonna get us killed.
And then we had a 2.5 hour long conversation about why not, and I was like,
nice.
And I think it's just intent. You know what I mean? Like saying like fuck you, you know what I mean, is a different thing than just be like, what the fuck? Because I was like, dude, it's such a great word.
Yeah.
It's an adjective, it's an adverb, it's a noun.
Yeah. Exactly. It's therapeutic. It's very therapeutic. You know, it's you know, shouldn't be anything wrong with it. But I get the thing about the intention. Like if you're saying fuck you or fuck off or something like that. Yeah, but like you said, if you bang your finger in a drawer, fuck, you know, like something exactly. That should be perfectly fine.
Like, oh, phooey, oh, dang, oh, like it just doesn't.
That sounds more psychotic.
It just
doesn't when you do it. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I thought there was like some TV show. Well, you know how they have to edit, you know, TV shows and movies when they have it on TV and whatnot. And some of those sound so psychotic with the fake words.
Dude,
they come with? Do you got a good example?
Okay, Big Lebowski. When he says, "This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass." The best one, it said, "This is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps." or on Snakes on a Plane.
Oh yeah, that's what I know.
Snakes on this motherfucking airplane.
Yeah, right.
Edit. I'm tired of these miggity friggity snakes on this Monday to Friday airplane. I was like, it's funnier.
Right.
Like it's so good.
I like the ones where like it's not even a movie where but people are trying to sound they're trying to basically curse, but they don't want to really curse. They're so like, oh yeah, I'd like to pleasure my man member in your beehole or something like that. It just sounds like, oh my god, it sounds like you should be driving around with a van with no windows, you know, and you keep people in your fucking basement, you fucking psycho. Like,
yes. Hold on. I have the best version of it. Hold on. Here it is. The lint liquor. You remember that commercial? It was like Orbit's gum.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Let me see. Wait, no. Let's go to the actual commercial. There we go.
You son of a biscuit-eating bulldog.
What the French
Did you
toast?
think I wouldn't find out about your little doo-doo head cootie queen?
Who are you calling a cootie queen, you lint liquor?
Pickle you, kumquat!
You're overreacting.
No, Bill, overreacting was when I put your convertible into a wood chipper. Stinky McStink face.
You Hoboken.
Fabulous. New Orbit Raspberry Mint cleans another dirty map. No matter what.
You Hoboken.
Oh, dude, that's a great poll, man. Fucking yeah, primo.
So great.
Let's give you a trophy for that fucking poll right there. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Wait, we have a thing for this. Wait, what is there? The one up? There we go.
Nice. There you go. You get all kinds of gold coins for that poll. You bet.
Wait.
Nice. Hell yeah. So, but I think we've wrapped it up. What are you exhausted there with the? There you go. I mean, we could probably talk for another 7 hours, but
Again, when it comes to Marvel, when it comes to Star Wars, I love having the in-depth conversations about shit. It's fun.
Oh yeah. It's a shame that we'll probably have to wait for the Marvels in November before we can have another Marvel movie to do this with. I mean, we could always still team up on other shit right there, but
I think the next, let me see, MCU movie schedule. Let's see what we got here.
Yeah,
release schedule. Yeah, so we have Guardians, and then Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So that's like the second one. So it's the animated, because it was Spider-Man the Into the Spider-Verse.
Right. Yep, I've seen that one. Yep,
Miles Morales or whatever. And then then it's going to be the second one. So Across the Spider-Verse comes out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So before the Marvels. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then the next Marvel property after that is Secret Invasion, but it's one of the shows. So
with
Nick Fury and the Skrulls and all that, kind of continuing that storyline. There's Loki season 2 in the fall of 2023.
Okay.
X-Men 97, which is going to be the new what's it called? You know how they had the old X-Men cartoons?
I don't know that, but yeah, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, the old X-Men cartoons with Wolverine and Jean Grey and Cyclops and all that, with like back in the 90s.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
They're bringing those back.
Okay.
With the same, artistic style and everything, which is cool.
Okay.
I might be looking at the wrong thing. Let's see.
What's the first DC thing? Well, DC movie. I don't care about the DC TV show. The DC movie. I'm trying to think isn't it James Gunn's Superman movie? Is that
Flash?
The first DC? Oh yeah, So that's the next to last DC in that's like a so-called Snyderverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard Kraven the Hunter is something that should.
Oh yeah, that one actually I'm looking forward to right there because
which is cool. And then the Marvels is November 10th. And wait, Movies Merica was right about everything as always. Yeah, take that with a grain of salt. It's coming from
my ego's
yeah.
I don't know why it should be there you go.
There's Loki season 2, What If season 2, which actually What If was really cool. The animated, which was based off the What If comics, which there's what if the Avengers were zombies? What if fucking what if Chadwick Boseman's character Black Panther, but I forget his fucking actual character's name, but what if he was Star-Lord?
T'Challa.
Yeah, T'Challa. What if T'Challa was Star-Lord instead of being Black Panther? So what if Yondu picked him up off of Earth instead of? So I mean, there's a bunch of
an 80 in my microwave.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that kind of thing. Okay, my bad. Yeah,
and there was
cool,
the Captain Carter storyline. So what if Peggy Carter was the one who got the super serum instead of Chris Evans, or instead of Rogers? So there's the Echo TV show. There's Ironheart, which the Agatha Harkness show, Coven of Chaos. She's one of the characters from WandaVision, which I'm sorry. I like Catherine Hahn. I think she's fucking hilarious, and so I'm actually kind of looking forward to her having her own.
I will always think of her as the anything lady from Anchorman.
Yeah, the best part about that whole line is the end of it when she goes anything.
Yeah,
and she like ends it with that.
Exactly.
Veronica
Corningstone thanks her.
Yeah, Captain America: New World Order comes out next May, which I think that'll be pretty cool.
Is that them against Kang? Is Kang? I wonder if Kang's going to be in that one. I wonder if he's going to be the big. I know he's going to be like in what Avengers Kang Dynasty or.
It says this looks like it's going to be one of the biggest MCU movies in the lead up to the epic ending of Avengers Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars.
Gotcha.
So that's cool.
So they got to make King for me. They got to make King more interesting, and then I'm gonna really look forward to it right there. Because to me, like, I mean, I know that I think you said you find him just like me. I'm like, he just seems like he's just too subdued. You know, like obviously they show he's got great power, right? It's like I'm not questioning that he's got great power and he could like get rid of whole timelines and shit like that. So there's multiple iterations of him and whatnot. But like if he just like. Because Thanos, to me, like Thanos, he had that charisma, you know, that and it probably helped that Josh Brolin was voicing him and that kind of thing. So, but he had that charisma to him. Like, I can't take my eyes off him. Well, one reason is because the CGI was fucking fantastic, right?
He looks like fucking Grimace did CrossFit.
Right. And it took like a fork and like to his chin, you know, and like right there, you know.
Yeah, no, I think that I find it interesting because of the different layers of the character. There's different versions of him. So again, Jonathan Majors, personal life, his own shit going on. Whatever. I'm not going to talk on that because I really don't know too much about it.
Who knows? Yeah, I
think he's a great actor. I think what he's doing in with the character is really cool. You should. Yeah. I know. I know you don't have Disney Plus or you're not watching any of the shows or whatever, but watch Loki is a really fucking cool show because Tom Hiddleston is a great actor and portrays Loki so fucking well.
Yeah, it was great in that miniseries, The Night Manager. I liked him in that one. So
so he's a great actor, and I like his portrayal of Loki because he's the god of mischief. He's mischievous. He fucks with shit. You know.
He was great. Yeah, the first. I think we already talked about him in the first Avengers. Like he was like one of the dynamic, very charismatic villain. Like if they can make Kang like Loki, I mean, obviously not exactly like him, but like have him like be that interesting and charismatic. You know, like when Loki was walking out of the whatever in Prague or whatever it was, and all the people were kneeling down to him, and like, is this not your natural state? Like. That was a fucking cool monologue. If King could do that, but for me, King didn't do anything like that in Quantumania. He had the monologue with Paul Rudd, and he pinned him up against the wall. I'm gonna kill your daughter and all that stuff. Like, but
the last episode of Loki is where you see Jonathan Majors. That's his first appearance in the MCU, and his first appearance as Kang, and when you see his portrayal of that, it's very interesting. It's very like intriguing how he kind of portrays it. And he's not this he's obviously all powerful. He's the one that beat out all the rest of the Kangs, but the way he explains the timelines and the everything, it's very, very cool. Like how his portrayal there, I think was a lot better than the one in Ant-Man. The one in Ant-Man was definitely more brute force, more like, this is that version of Kang.
Yeah,
but his more intriguing and more of like a intellectually cool portrayal of him. So
one thing I did find intriguing was how he did befriend Michelle Pfeiffer's character, and they were working together, and it seemed like he actually really did care about her until she discovered who he was. So that part of it, I was like, that's kind of interesting right there. Okay, he's got the capacity to feel affection for somebody, like a
sociopath. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right, exactly. And that goes back to the nuance and the layers and all that stuff right there. So, but then if he could have like countered that with like some outright evil or something like that, so sadist. And I know they're PG-13, so he can't like get all fucking like brutally violent shit. But anyway. Hey, night, Professor. See you, Professor.
Yeah, see you later. And Jonathan Majors never skips a beat for sure. That's a good one.
Yeah. I liked him in Devotion. Did you ever see him in Devotion that came out like last the Korea War movie?
I didn't, but he was good in that one.
He was good in that one. He played a pilot in that one where whatever his name is from Top Gun Maverick is like his partner in that. So, and Jonathan Majors was good in that. So he's good in things. Creed 3, I thought he was good in that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know you did a review on that one. I haven't seen that one yet, but I think he's from what I've seen of him, I think he's a good actor. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's totally different in Devotion than he is like in Creed 3. Creed 3 he plays like this bombastic bad guy, and Jonathan Majors in Devotion is kind of more of a soft-spoken kind of family man kind of guy. Right.
There are again, yes, like Sean was saying, and like there's a lot of content, a lot of things to keep up with and whatever with the Marvel universe, but if you like it, then it's cool because there's a lot of so
I think I know the answer to this question, but do you think that they would be well served to maybe like take a 5-year break off or something like make people miss it? Because I know that there's people that like I don't need a break. We can have Marvel movies for the next 85 years, but
it's one of those things where it could work, but it also couldn't work. Like, because it's one of those things where, you always remember how to ride a bike. You always remember how to get back up on the whole, whatever. But at the same time, if you could lose a little bit of that, that magic that comes. And I'm not saying that they haven't lost some magic from, the first movies and whatever, but I think that taking a break from it, I mean, it could be good too, because it's almost oversaturation. And I get that too, and maybe be able to sit back and rethink things.
Sure.
But we kind of already did that with COVID. You know what I mean? Because Black Widow was supposed to come out early 2020.
Yeah.
But then they stopped it because the movie theater shut down, and then Scarlett Johansson was like, well, movie,
And from a logistical standpoint, they may not be able to get the same actors back in 5 years.
And there's the age gap, having to, age people down, and, do all that stuff. Like,
I would just encourage them to not be so much of control freaks on the directors, because even like when you can manage to even rein Sam Raimi in, because like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, obviously was directed by Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
They had a primo opportunity with Sam Raimi. Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, the first two all three Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
Just to let him just unleash him and let him fucking do his thing. Like let him cook.
Yeah.
And you could tell like they reined him in. Now obviously I know that they can't let him like do all the gore like he did in Evil Dead and all that stuff. So they can't do
exactly.
Yeah, but let him just let the fucking guy cook, and whatnot. I think that they reined him in.
There were some cool jump scenes. There were some cool like jump cuts, and like the thing where she fucking cracks the professor's head.
That
jumps out. There were a couple cool scenes with that.
And Corpse Strange at the end, like So I saw the Corpse Strange, and then the Professor X like in his head. There were definitely Raimi-isms in there where they like. I'm sure he was like, all right, you can't completely control me. You can't just shut me down completely. You gotta let me have some Raimi-isms in there.
Yeah.
Or
fucking turning Mr. Fantastic into fucking spaghetti. Like that was cool. And then how Black Bolt died. That death scene was gnarly.
That one, because I think like that one was lost to me because I didn't know what his power was, but it has something to do with his power, right?
Yeah, basically he's it's like he's kind of like his voice is so powerful when he opens his mouth and lets his voice out. It's like the sound waves kill someone.
Okay.
So like if he would have opened his mouth and tried to kill Wanda or whatever, so that's why she like put that thing over his mouth and he went and screamed, and then his whole head fucking
gotcha.
Yeah. So
that's
like
what it was.
Power of like the sound waves, you know what I mean?
Because Wanda's scene there mildly reminded me of the Darth Vader scene at the end of Rogue One. Yeah. Where she's like just going in and just laying waste of people and whatnot. Yeah. So yeah.
It was cool. That was a little annoying that it's like the two chicks. It's like Peggy Carter, really. Captain America was one of the ones that lasted. Like, really? Like that made me like, it's Mr. Fantastic. Like he's the dad of Kang, like the granddad of Kang. Like, so he's the original, like fucking
right.
guy.
But,
and like, really?
Like, but you know what? They had to show that women do it better. It's girl boss power and all that stuff. So like, they just get rid of all that shit. So yeah.
Again, going back to fucking, what Jennifer, whatever fucking name is, from Hunger Games saying, "Oh, they don't have badass women characters."
Oh, Jennifer Lawrence, yeah.
Fucking aliens and fucking Linda Hamilton back in, Linda Hamilton back in
Terminator, Linda Hamilton playing Sarah Connor,
And you know what's great? They didn't say it was a fucking badass woman. They just be.
Right, exactly. I remember like when Ripley towards the end of Aliens, and she's going down the elevator to find Newt. Yeah. And she's gearing up. She's getting the fucking rounds and that big fucking, pulse weapon and shit. And it's basically everything's falling apart in the fire and that fucking James Horner score. Yeah. And not one millisecond that fucking scene was like, thank God it's a woman. Oh my God, it's female power. No, I was like, this is a fucking badass scene. And Ripley's a bad motherfucker. And she's going to go and so that's what I was thinking. But now it's like, we got to make it female,
it's one of those things too, where it's like, these are movies, right? It's fake. It's all fake. So like, if you can not point it out to where it's a woman, it's represented, whatever. It's like, okay, it's represented in a fake way. So like,
right.
So if you don't say that, and then, but you now, instead of like letting it just be, and you're saying that it's like, that it's like woman power, whatever, but it's fake. So what you're saying is that in fake movies, you're represented as badasses. So in real life, are you?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Because every time there's a woman that gets involved in a man fight, I mean, we'll see how those fucking
yeah. Yeah, well, it's just some guys like, oh, that's kind of hot. There you go. All right, yeah, maybe a boobie will get touched or something. I know. I had to take it there. So, not that I would ever think that, no, because I'm a fine, upstanding, very moral person who never says the word fuck.
Like, exactly. Nowadays, how people are just recording fights and just letting them go on, just like they would watch girl fights and just let them go on because possibly a titty might come out.
Right. You never know.
There's the equality in that. They're like, hey, let me fucking see what happens. You know what I mean? At least there's that.
Exactly. There you go. Hey, it's like curiosity doesn't always kill the cat. So yeah, it's like,
and sometimes curiosity will expose the cat.
Sometimes the cats are what we're curious about. Yeah, exactly. Hey-o!
All right, I am good. I should probably go pay attention to my wife.
Yeah, there you go. So, but just fit her in tomorrow sometime. There you go. Right after I said that last syllable, I'm like, I know he's going there, yo.
Gotcha, bitch.
Gotcha, bitch. Yes. All right. Well, hey, everybody. I don't know how many people are watching right now, so I'm going to assume it's 100,000 people. So, but check me out at moviesmerica.com. So that's where you can watch the audio-only versions of my spoiler-free reviews that come out on Sundays and whatnot. So, and so if you basically don't want to have to watch my ugly mug, I think it's fucking fantastic, very handsome, and I got that chin that's so fucking sculpted.
You like Kraglin?
Kraglin, yeah, exactly. If you got the hots for Kraglin, if you got hot Kraglin passion.
I'm sorry, dude, but I saw that and I was like, hey, it's movies.
You know what you always used to get? I used to get Anthony Edwards Goose.
Yeah.
People always call me when I was younger, when I was like in my 20s.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, you're Goose from Top Gun. Like, no, I'm not. I don't want to fucking die.
I can totally see that.
Yeah, but dude, like in 2022, they're going to have a sequel and they're going to like pay homage to you. I don't give a fuck. I'm still dead. Yeah. I don't want to do that. So yes. Okay. So then, also then I'm on the socials at Movies Merica on Twitter and Instagram. All right. And so then we got the tdpn.locals.com up at the very top there. Just to remind you of that. We got at Til Death Network, at solo.to/Til Death Pod Network there. That's where you can check out all the links to everything that is Til Death Podcast Network, so that you don't have to hunt and peck all over Al Gore's worldwide interwebs for everything Til Death Podcast Network. You get it all in one-stop shop, okay? Yes. So it's not the one-stop shop from Clerks. It's not that. So yeah, because he wasn't even supposed to work today, okay? So yes. All right. And then we got solo.to/Til Death Studios. If you want some cool design work, with some visual flair, if you want those 32 pieces of flair that you get over at Tchotchke's from Office Space, but you want Ian to design it. That's what you cut out there first. You cut out like your video feed went out. So all I heard was like, I'll give you
And what's funny is you were just talking about yours just went out right now.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, exactly.
My lights are flickering. Oh my god! Ah!
I'm having this. Yeah, go to solo.to/Til Death Studios. I'll get you taken care of. You need some digital design work done, and if you like the overlays going on here, the background, the intro, all that stuff.
You bet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all the basically the amazement for your eyeballs and whatnot. So yes, exactly.
It won't be Marvel level, but
yeah. Let's give Sean let's give him some love here. So solo.to/I'm Sean Cav. So I believe that's where all his links are at.
Yeah, for all the Sippin with Shawn and all the everything too. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for the assist on that. So yeah, because I was lost. Solo.to/the Whiskey Capitalist. All the links for the Whiskey Capitalist.
Yeah, that's gonna be the show that's gonna be the show that Sean and I do. Sean at the the first hour and a half, the only amount
loser.
The only amount that he could, hang on this nerd discussion. But I kind of had a little bit of a feeling. I thought me and you were going to go a little bit longer than he'd be able to, deal with.
Yeah. You can't hang.
Yeah, exactly. So, solo.to/the Whiskey Capitalist. We do about, 3 hours. We just did the town hall with Trump and did a drinking game on that. It was pretty hilarious. It was our biggest stream that we've had so far. Which was we had like 170 people in there, which is awesome for a small stream. So
Trump brings in those numbers. Trump.
It was great. So it was fun, and we're gonna start doing that. We're gonna do that because obviously election season is starting up here soon. So we're gonna be doing breakdowns of and reviews and like live streams of all the debates and all the obviously the Republican ones because they're not having them on the Democratic side. So because they're pussy. Their
exactly
vaginas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't think they can do better than Joe Biden, and you know what? He's the best.
Yeah,
they're not even gonna let like hair gel Hitler debate him. Like what the hell? Get Gavin Newsom in there. Hair gel Hitler. Come on, man.
Yeah, he's an idiot. But no, so we talk about politics on the Whiskey Capitalist, politics, pop culture, all the trending news stuff that kind of comes up, and with Tucker Carlson stuff going on, and all the Elon Musk and the Alex Steins and like all the more political stuff. That's what we talk about. So that's Mondays and Wednesdays every week at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific.
Absolutely, exactly. But I digest. Yes, there you go. So and then we got solo.to/Til Death Podcast right there. So so that's with all the fantastic links to the one-stop shop for all Til Death Podcast links.
Actually, that's just me. That's just me and the wife's podcast. So that's every Saturday. So that one right there is just husband and wife shit. We just stuff, dick and fart jokes mostly. We used to talk a lot of politics, but now the Whiskey Capitalist around, we just kind of do our own.
I'm really looking forward to that Dutch oven show you're coming out with next week.
It's going to be a Dutch rudder show. But no, it's there's like a lot of health kind of tips and stuff like that. Jen and I are more Jen, my wife, we're we have a paleo lifestyle. I could probably be a little bit better about it, but we have more of a paleo lifestyle kind of deal. Oh,
I lost it there for a second. There you go. Hey, all right, he's back with us. He's alive, everybody. He's alive. It's okay.
No, we have it's more of a paleo lifestyle. So it's just a lot of health stuff and all that. But then it's mostly talking about fats and trans and all the funny things that you talk about with
mysterious blood stains on cars and that kind of thing. So
that's every other Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. But I think we're going to be taking a couple of weeks off because we are going on vacation from the 21st through the 25th. So then we'll have a end of vacation stream, probably the 27th, I believe is the day, but it's going to be the same week that you're off, right?
It is. Yeah. So next, so this Sunday I'll have a spoiler for review. Next Thursday night I'll do a spoiler for Movies America spoiler warning. And then the week after that, I'm not gonna have a spoiler-free review on that following. So basically, a week from this Sunday, there will not be a spoiler-free review, and a week from next Thursday, there will not be a Movies America spoiler warning.
Yeah, which is great because I'll be gone, and the only thing I have to worry about is getting the Whiskey Capitalist stuff ready. Which I don't know who Sean's gonna have on as a guest that week because he doesn't have you or me. So
yeah, exactly. I think he's gonna have Caitlin Collins from CNN after she's fired. I think she's gonna be fired, and then he's gonna provide some therapy for Caitlin Collins because she had her ass handed to her last night by Donald Trump.
Jen and I will be drunk in Vegas, so I will definitely call into that one and be like, "Bitch,
you're a nasty woman." It's like you're the ultimate butterface. Your body is slamming butterface.
It's like, is it though? That was kind of a loose pantsuit. Like,
I think she got a banging body. I will tear that up. There you go. So, but yeah. Now, is she the best? Is she a Kardashian? Oh, hell no.
Kardashians are all fake and kind of gross. But
if I can feel them, they're real. Is that the saying?
But no, it's to me, I think there's a term. It's called a sapiosexual. I think is the term, is it, where you're attracted to someone's intelligence.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay, I can't remember if that was the one where you only have sex with people that you're in love with, but yeah, maybe it's okay. I don't know what that one is.
That's a different one, but I guess that's the term that they came up with. I don't know why sapio, like tree sap. I don't know, but
some Latin thing.
Yeah, and so like it's kind of me too. Like hashtag pound me too. No, but it's kind of me. Like if I don't think you're intelligent or smart, or you know what I mean, there's that lack of intelligence or that lack of mental attraction.
Sure,
sorry, you're not hot to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, does AOC have big Tiggo bitties? Yes, she does, but I don't think she's attractive because she's a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. I'm still in the phase where I would hit it, but then I would quit it. It's like I'm not sticking around. So once the sweat dries, I'm out.
Yeah, but then there's also that term: don't stick your dick in crazy.
It might follow you home.
Yeah,
forever.
I've learned that the hard way.
Ooh, yeah, exactly. I married that and learned the hard way. So, yep. So, all right. So I think we've gone through that. What's that?
I'm done with my quips.
Yep. Hands. See him. Let's see him, everybody. Take your hand out of the glove box now. Yes. All right. So yeah. So then, hey, you know what? I got to wrap up every show with, hey, get out there, people. Those movies aren't going to watch themselves. You got this?
Oh, I got it.
Hey, guys, I should have given you. That's my bad.
No, you're good. Peace.
Peace.
Hey guys, don't leave the video quite yet. Okay, I've got a popo. They're coming after me, and I don't have much time to tell you, but you need to like and subscribe this video right here, down below. It's right down there. It's just waiting. It's waiting for you down there, okay? And make sure you watch these videos over here too. You'll be doing me a big favor. I'm gonna be in handcuffs pretty soon. All right. Thanks for watching.